Chapter 1087. Me is your ancestor. Chapter 1087. Me is your ancestor, kill. His voice was deafening. The 8 of them attacked at the same time. Xiaobai looked to the sky and muttered, "Boss, I will be leaving first." Binghua smiled and said, "This life is worth it." The black knife was breathing heavily and was extremely unwilling. It wanted to go to the black knife that was not far from its body, but its body could not move at all. Aoyu was also struggling with all her might, but she couldn't do it. Shun Tianfei was firmly pressed to the ground by the pressure of the 3 flying, fairy stronger man-s. At this moment, death was coming. They had no way to resist. He could fight one-on-one, but to be able to handle a few flying fairyland powerhouses at the same time, their cultivation was still not at that level yet. Long Sanfeng looked at them and shouted, "Long Army, get ready." Huh. He took out the Mystic Blast pill. The Supreme God stood in midair and excitedly laughed. Kill them all. However, at this moment, without waiting for Supreme God to finish speaking, he moved in the air and a guy with a huge body, full of golden armor and holding a giant spirit axe walked out. "I'll kick your grandmother's leg." The axe ruthlessly hacked down. Boom! With an unstoppable force, the axe chopped down. The Supreme God didn't even have time to react before he was struck by the axe in an instant, heavily hitting the ground. It was as though the ground had exploded, leaving a gigantic crater in the ground. In the center of the crater, Supreme God's face was pale as he spat out blood. His body was twitching and his eyes were trembling. This power was too powerful. You, who are you?" The Supreme God's voice trembled. Li Yuanba grinned. "I am your ancestor." Before he could finish, his figure disappeared, and like a super cannonball, he fell straight down into the crater. "Master, save me. Save me. Quick, quick, save me." Rumble. With a flash of golden light, a powerful shock wave burst out, shaking the entire area of millions of kilometers. If Supreme God had smashed onto the ground like a cannonball, then it would have been a nuclear explosion right now. Dust rose. He couldn't see what was going on inside. After half a minute, a tall and sturdy man slowly walked out from the dust. Carrying the giant spirit axe on his shoulder, his muscles seemed to have expanded from the explosion. He was like a war god. When the dust settled, Supreme God turned into a pile of meat as he died a miserable death. He had a stupefied expression on his face and did not even know how he died. At that moment, even his primordial spirit was destroyed. Li Yuanba's attack was extremely powerful. Seeing Li Yuanba walk out, the Long Army started to boil. It's generally, he's back from the savage domain. Ha! Long Sanfeng was also incomparably excited. It could be seen that Li Yuanba's current cultivation had already reached an extremely strong realm, and the gigantic axe and golden armor on his body had completely transformed. At the same time, 3 flying fairyland powerhouses attacked the Fat Menshun. Right at the moment when their attacks were about to land, the air twisted, the evil eyes of the heavenly spirit turned into 2 claws, and an incomparably thick power of the dosed appeared on all 5 of their fingers. The black flames of death were clearly visible. Haha! Ghost Vein Divine Art, 9th stage. Kill! His figure shot out, directly passing through the bodies of the 3 flying fairy stronger man-s, and was completely unable to resist the attack. At this moment, as the sky spirit descended, the corners of its mouth curled up into a devilish sneer. It said softly, "Die." Crack! The bodies of the 3 flying fairy stronger man-s were quickly petrified and started to crack. In the sky above the entire Yuanlong royal city, there was only silence. The 2 of them appeared. He had completely suppressed a 1st stage flying immortal powerhouse. It was so powerful that it was a complete mess. Lin Yusheng and Arhut walked out of the void together with Heavenly Star. The 5 of them walked in front of Long Sanfeng and said in a heavy tone, "Grandpa Long." Long Sanfeng replied excitedly, "It's good that you're back. It's good that you're back. It's good that you're back." Li Yuanba said, "Grandpa Long, we've met boss. He's definitely on his way back. He might be arriving soon." Long Sanfeng was startled. Jojo immediately rushed forward and said, Did you see young master? Where is he? Li Yuanba said, Boss saved us in the savage domain, then went to a mysterious place. When we separated later on, he told us to come to the Nantian region first, and he arrived shortly. Don't worry, Boss will definitely come. Li Yuanba turned and jumped onto the city wall. It was also at this time. Whoosh! The Jin leaped up to the wall. Whoosh! Lin Yusheng and Arhut stood on the city wall. Crack! The black knife gripped the big black knife tightly and leapt up with a single step. Oya flew up as well. Fat Man Shin grinned excitedly and laughed, saying, aha. He landed on the city wall. 8 King Kong. 7 King Kongs is gathered. The 7 of them were like 7 war gods, standing on top of the city wall. Holy King Kong Li Yuanba, demon subduing Vajra Arhut, God. Water King Kong Lin Yusheng, Yuling Guardian Warrior Heavenly Spirit, Holy Armor King Kong Chin Tianfei, Sword Force King Kong Oya, Arrogant Knife King Kong Black Knife. 7 people. Their powers were all different and very special. At this moment, it was as if their powers resonated with each other. The 7 of them looked at each other. There was a feeling of extreme familiarity between them, as if they were thanking their old friends who had known them for decades. It was just that their strength was still a little short of reaching the perfection stage. They were still missing 1 King Kong. Arhut King Kong. Li Yuanba became excited. He raised his eyes slightly, stared into the depths of the clouds, and suddenly roared out, You dare touch my boss? Do you think you're qualified? Come on. Ha ha. The 7 of them burst out laughing at the same time. Ha ha. He was incredibly excited. The backs of the 7 people were incomparably tall. Long Sanfeng was excited for Long Fei, but at the same time, he was worried, because the real powerhouse had yet to appear. If it was really like what Fu Shishan had said, then Yuan Long Royal City would probably not be able to escape a calamity today. Long Sanfeng thought in his heart, Xiao Fei, where exactly are you? Ding! I have reached Nantian region. Long Fei moved. Search the entire Yuan Long Royal City. Search complete. Yuan Long Dynasty is 13 million kilometers away. Estimated time, 10 seconds. Let's go. Long Fei controlled the main brain and shouted. At this moment, Long Fei arrived at the forbidden grounds of the Outer Space Palace, which was also where Gu Tong Tian was cultivating. Ifatsi said, I don't know either. However, Yin Huang Ancestor's face was full of excitement as he said, The deity's lake that washes the spirit is able to condense the body and become a deity's lake. Long Fei shook and immediately asked, Are you saying that it can recreate a physical body? Yin Huang Ancestor said, As long as there is a primordial spirit, it can reform the body. This is the spirit treasure of the Invincible realm. I never expected it to be here. Long Fei did not care about what treasure it was. He only cared about one thing. Ancestor, can you rebuild your body here? Chapter 1088, Descent of Hell. Chapter 1088, Descent of Hell in the air above the Yuan Long Royal City. Gu Tong Tian looked at Heaven and said, These are the 4 evolved people you spoke of? Heaven said slightly. That's right. We want to compare them to when they first came out because their strength has now become stronger. Stronger? That's only for trash of the first rank of the flying immortal stage. Western Devil Lord sneered. Gu Tong Tian smiled slightly and said, You appeared one after another, so all of Long Fei's forces should be here, right? Dark Domain Lord Song Qiansheng said, One more to go. Who? Everyone looked at Song Qiansheng. Song Qiansheng laughed. Did you forget Long Fei's father? Long Zhanting. Gu Tong Tian squinted his eyes and laughed coldly. A person who signed a contract with the god of death. Even if someone like him were to appear, he wouldn't be able to do anything. In addition, Gu Tong Tian did not continue and only revealed a smirk. Western Devil Lord looked at Gu Tong Tian. This time, the aura emitted from Gu Tong Tian's body was completely different from a year ago. Not a breakthrough. Rather, there was a power that he had never seen before, a power that did not belong to the god's martial continent. Gu Tong Tian's voice turned cold and said, It's time to teach the Long family a lesson, and let them know what a god above the gods' martial continent is. Who's going to fight? I'll do it. Song Qianqing slightly moved and said with a smile, let them have a taste of Hell's Wheel. Many powerhouse were startled. Hell Wheel, the domain treasure of the Dark Domain. One of the 5 domain treasures of the gods' martial continent. The Hell's Wheel's power hadn't appeared for millions of years. No one here knew what kind of power it was and exactly how strong it was. A lot of people thought it had disappeared. However, no one knew that it had always been in the Dark Domain and had always been in the hands of the Qinji City's Song family. Furthermore, no one knew its secret. Gu Tongtian said indifferently, Brother Song, I am relieved to see you out. Haha. Song Qianqing moved and disappeared. Next, a few Dark Domain-s followed closely behind Song Qianqing and rushed down. Hell's Wheel, Dark Domain treasure. I didn't expect it to be in the hands of the Song family. According to the legends, the Hell Wheel is the power of death, capable of reaping the lives of anyone in the world. Everyone whispered amongst themselves. Gu Tongtian slightly narrowed his eyes as he muttered in his heart, Hell Wheel, Song Qianqing, you've hidden yourself really well. Buzz! An explosion sounded in the sky. Song Qianqing landed, with a face full of contempt, looked at the 7 people standing on the city wall and said, How do you want to die? I have 108 ways of dying, and you can choose from them as you wish. Chun Tianfei reminded everyone, this guy's aura is very strong. Everybody be careful. I do. Without waiting for Chun Tianfei to finish speaking, Li Yuanba shouted, Attack together, beat him to death. What do you mean by nonchalant? They would just attack together and kill him. Chun Tianfei stared blankly for a moment, then laughed. I like your temper. Then let's attack together. In that instant, the sarcophagus on Li Yuanba's back suddenly dropped, his right hand pressing onto the sarcophagus as he muttered an incantation, speaking in a language that no one else could understand. The giant spirit coffin began to tremble. It was as if a colossus was about to burst out of the coffin. The mysterious runes on the coffin seemed to have come to life, crawling up Li Yuanba's body along his right hand. In a few seconds, his body would be covered with runes. Eyes wide with anger. A sharp light flashed in his eyes. Boom! Boom! The giant spirit axe on Li Yuanba's shoulder landed heavily, pointed at Song Qianqing in the air and roared, Kill him! Roar! Divine power erupted as he took a step forwards in the air. The space beneath his feet shattered from his stomps as his silhouette became a straight line, shuttling through the air. In an instant, the other 6 men moved at the same time. Song Qianqing sneered coldly. A bunch of trash that doesn't know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. He made a grasping motion with his right hand. Hell's Wheel. Get out. Rumble. An ear-piercing hum rang out. It was a semicircle shaped, and its entire body was pitch black like a scimitar. However, it was not a saber. There were many small iron rings on its body. There were a total of 108 of them. Song Qianqing's forehead turned sinister as he said, Taste what it feels like to be in hell. Hell's Wheel moved. Boom! An explosion sounded in the sky. Darkness covered the skies, trapping the 7 within. In their world, hell had descended. Hell Wheel. It wasn't just the power of hell. It's a kind of power that's created from hell. With the miniature version of hell, you could try 108 ways of dying inside it. Amongst the 5 treasures, Hell's Wheel was the most brutal of them all. Descent of the infernal realm. Li Yuanba's eyes lit up. What kind of place is this? Woo woo woo. Email protected. At the evil spirits cried and screamed, their cries penetrating into one's heart. The surroundings were filled with hellfire, and the death god could not help but feel his heart rise. The man said, This is hell. Oya asked, Why are we in hell? Hell Wheel. Could this be the power of the Hell Wheel? Li Yuanba shouted, It doesn't care so much. Even if it's hell, I want to turn the world upside down. Giant spirit power. Buzz. The god power burst out. The symbols on his body flashed, and the blade heavily hacked down. Break for me. Schwan. An axe chopped through the void. However, There was no reaction at all. There was no reaction at all. Also at this moment, Song Qianqing's silhouette appeared in the darkness, laughing sinisterly. You want to break into hell? Ha ha! You guys can try out 108 different ways of dying. Don't worry, I won't let you die that quickly. Take it slowly, one time after another. I'll let you guys die 108 times, huh? To let you know what it feels like to die. Ha ha! As soon as he finished, the world they were in abruptly changed, turning into an enormous sea of fire. Fire. Many people were shocked. The Hell Wheel's power is called hell. This power, who could resist? The power of a domain treasure? Song Qianqiang saw the shock in their eyes, and his face revealed extreme pride. He smiled and said, Qian, what do you feel after killing your own friends? It must be great. Within the Hell's Wheel, a body was struggling, frantically struggling, but no matter how much strength she used, she was unable to break free. With tears streaming down her face, she began to cry out loud with a heart-wrenching pain. Oh, no way. Another kind of power from the female blood vein of the ninth heaven. He used his identity as the media to activate the Hell's Wheel. This was the ultimate reason why Song Qianqiang had been controlling Song Qianqian. At the same time, Song Qianqiang gently moved his finger, pointed at the Long army, and laughed. Kill them all. What's that? What's that? With the 7 King Kongs trapped, the Yuan Long royal city would lose its greatest protection. Flying Fairy Stronger Man flew into the city from behind Song Qianqiang and stared at them condescendingly. They are gods. Long Sanfeng and the others were ants. At this moment, there was no despair in Long Sanfeng's eyes, but instead dense killing intent. Long army, get ready. Qian explosion pill. Open. Tens of thousands of Long family's blood vein consumed the profound explosion pill, and a powerful force surged through every part of their body. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Powerful rumbling sounds could be heard one after another. Roars of dragons could be heard from within their bodies, as if the primordial energy had been activated. Dragon transformation. Long Sanfeng was the first to cry out, his entire body transforming as bloody dragon scales covered his entire body, and his body also became a super violent dragon that was over 50 meters tall. Roar. He opened his bloody mouth and roared into the sky. The strength stripe situation could be seen as a powerful force crazily exploded outwards. And then, all of the 10,000 Long family disciples turned into dragons as the dragon blood vein began to surge. It was the first time. This was the first time so many people had turned into dragons. The surging dragon aura created a powerful pressure. In that instant, the sky darkened and a powerful beam of light descended from the sky. It directly smashed into the Yuan Long Palace. Next, the heaven and earth were moved. The entire God's martial continent seemed to have been penetrated by this power, as they all trembled. He had no idea what this power was. He had no idea that something like this would happen. Gu Tongtian was incomparably excited as he said, Dragon Domain, Dragon Domain. Ha ha! Unexpectedly, I really didn't expect that the disappeared Dragon Domain was actually still in Nantian region. Ha! I really didn't expect this. So it turns out that the one and open Dragon Domain is not the prophet's son, but the dragon's force of the Long family. Ha ha! After waiting for 100 years, he had finally arrived. Gu Tongtian was indescribably excited as the light beam in the sky continued to penetrate the palace, causing the Nantian region to tremble. All of the Flying Fairy Stronger Man were incomparably excited. Dragon Domain. The Dragon Domain, who held countless secret treasures, was finally going to appear. The secret to longevity. Possessing the longevity of a dragon. There are also super spiritual treasures from other realms. All of this was a huge temptation, one that was difficult to resist. Suddenly, a Flying Fairy Stronger Man rushed out, releasing an excited smile, and said, Ha ha! I'm the first person to enter the Dragon Domain. I'm the first person who wants to attain longevity. Ha ha! Like a madman. It quickly charged into the huge black hole created by the beam of light. However, in this instant, his body turned into fine powder before it even neared the beam of light. Not even a speck of bone was left behind. He was instantly killed. This power, it was unimaginable for him to be so powerful and be able to kill everything on God's martial continent in an instant. At this moment, a few more flying fairy stronger man flew up. Guton Tian did not stop them, but smiled coldly. He needed some of the mice to conduct his experiments, and he needed them to rush forward. This time, the flying fairy stronger man, did not fly over, but landed on the ground and walked towards the gigantic black hole. Just like the powerhouse from before, they turned into dust the moment they approached. It had been completely crushed. Gu Tongtian's mind started to work frantically. This kind of power cannot be broken through. That's not right. The activation of Long Family's 10,000 dragons might be in advance to allow Dragon Domain to appear, but only Long Fei can possibly enter Open Dragon Domain. As he thought of this, Gu Tongtian immediately shouted, "City Lord Song, don't worry, they have already reached the Open Dragon Domain. Their mission has been accomplished. It doesn't matter even if we kill them all. What we want now is Long Fei. Everyone listen up, don't go near the black hole again." Gu Tongtian ordered, his voice furiously roaring as he said, "Long Fei, are you still not going to appear?" Ha! The Dragon Domain had already been discovered. Gu Tongtian felt that he was only one step away from death. He was excited, incomparable excitement. Long Sanfeng and the others never thought that they would be able to activate the Dragon Domain, much less that the Dragon Domain was actually hiding in the shadows of the Nantian region. After the Nantian region, they trained with all they had, trying their best to raise their dragon blood activation. This, Ice and Fire provided unparalleled help, because his dragon blood allowed the disciples of the Long family to quickly become stronger and also allowed them to quickly cultivate to the realm of becoming dragons. Originally, he wanted to use dragon transformation to block Song Qiansheng, but the sudden appearance of that shocking beam of light caused a huge black hole to appear in the royal capital. The place that the black hole led to was the Dragon Domain. Even in his dreams, Long Sanfeng had never thought that he would help Gu Tongtian. Huh! Long Sanfeng raised his head to look at the flying fairy stronger man in the sky, lowered his footsteps, and roared loudly. "Fight it out with them." Boom! The power of the tyrant dragon emerged from Long Sanfeng's body and swept out its claws. Tens of thousands of dragons shot out at the same time. The scene was extremely shocking. At this moment, Gu Tongtian slightly curled the corner of his mouth and said, "Besides Long Fei's woman, kill everyone else." As soon as he finished, behind him, dozens of flying fairy stronger man rushed down. A mad slaughter began. Within the Hell's Wheel. Li Yuanba's entire body was scarlet red, and his eyes were filled with streaks of blood. He roared out madly, and the giant spirit axe in his hands also continued to hack at it. Their strength was completely lacking. He couldn't break this Hell's Wheel at all. At this moment, they were in the depths of a huge frying pan, an indescribable pain. They were more worried about Long Sanfeng and the others than the pain they were feeling. Rumble, rumble. Yuan Long City was in a mess, and the Long army was instantly washed away. This time, the ones who were impulsive were the flying fairy stronger man. They were just at a different level from each other. They were too weak. The most important thing was that the primal energies within their bodies were only activated and did not fully erupt. Gu Tongtian laughed loudly. "Ha! After today, there will no longer be a Nantian region, and there will no longer be a clan like the Long family. Ha ha! Long Fei, how can you fight against me? What are you going to use to fight me now? All of your powers are in my hands. You no longer have the qualifications to fight me." Gu Tongtian laughed proudly. Long Fei's nest was almost over. Was there still any qualifications to fight him? Looking at the battle in the Yuan Long city, Gu Tongtian had a face full of complacency. At this moment, within the Hell's Wheel, Long Zhanting's figure appeared, and he faintly said, "Follow behind me, I'll bring you out." At the same time, a massive fiery cloud appeared in the sky. Fire essence filled the sky as it crazily burned. An elder suddenly asked, "Why is there the aura of the outer space palace?" An elder turned his head to look at the gigantic fire cloud and asked, "What's that?" Chapter 1090, I'll kill him. Chapter 1090, I'll kill him. Fire clouds covered the sky. It was burning crazily. The scene was like the apocalypse, an unimaginable shock. Within the Sky Patrol ship, the 46 Dragon Patriarchs were incomparably excited, but at the same time, incomparably nervous and worried. Green Dragon Ancestor said, "Boss, the dark side of the Dragon Domain has opened. There isn't enough energy to open it, and time is running out too quickly. It's extremely dangerous right now." And Sea Dragon King anxiously said, "Furthermore, quickly say what it is." They were too excited. What did it mean to have the Dragon Domain open? This meant that they could truly return and gain power that belonged to them. For the past 6 million years, they had been missing the Dragon Domain and their formidable strength. Now it was close at hand. Green Dragon Ancestor said, "Furthermore, as long as the light beam is over, if you still aren't able to completely enter open Dragon Domain, then Dragon Domain will collapse and completely disappear from the dark side. It will never open." The faces of all the dragons sank. They were all stunned. Long Fei's heart also tensed up and said, "What do you mean? What do you mean as long as the light beams end, open Dragon Domain will not be able to do it?" Long Fei also did not understand. The Green Dragon Ancestor said, "Because the power of 10,000 dragons is lacking and it is more than half a year earlier than expected, the dark side of the Dragon Domain is extremely unstable and is entirely supported by this beam of light. If the beam of light energy disappears, the Dragon Domain will completely collapse and whatever it has will disappear." Dragon Domain had collapsed. Everything inside had disappeared. Moreover, Long Fei's mission could not be completed either. Long Fei frowned and said, "Just tell me what to do." Green Dragon Ancestor said, "We must complete open Dragon Domain before the light beam ends, or else. Dragon Domain has collapsed, Nantion region has collapsed, and the entire God's Marshall continent has collapsed as well." Holy sh**T. Are you talking about a planet exploding? Long Fei finally understood. Green Dragon Ancestor said, "The God's Marshall continent plane exploded. Everyone will die." Long Fei exhaled and said, "How much time do I have left?" Green Dragon Ancestor said, 3 minutes. In that instant, Long Fei moved, controlling the head of the Sky Patrol ship. "Smash them to death. Use your fastest speed to kill them." Finished. The Sky Patrol ship increased its speed. Long Fei moved and disappeared. 3 minutes. Time was too short. However, what he needed to do now was not to save the God's Marshall continent, as his awareness was not that high. Even if the plane were to explode, he had to save his family members, brothers, and women. What's that? Heaven, outer space palace. Why did they come here? It's about to collide. Gu Tong Tian was stupefied. Western Devil Lord was stupefied. The distant Song Qiansheng also had a stupefied face. What's going on? His brain could not react at all. Why was outer space palace here? There was no reason at all. Gu Tong Tian was stunned. He had been cultivating in the outer space palace for hundreds of years and never knew if the outer space palace could still move. Just when they were shocked, the Sky Patrol ship ruthlessly charged towards them. The speed was simply too fast. Gu Tongtian's face changed greatly as he said, "Quickly retreat." Rumble, rumble, rumble. Those flying fairy stronger man-s, whose reactions were slightly slower by 10 minutes, were all smashed into pieces by the impact. Peak Powerhouse S. Those were all dog shit in front of the Sky Patrol ship. It's a Sky Patrol ship. Ding. Ding, ding. A few notifications sounded in Long Fei's mind. His experience soared and shot straight to 95% HP. He was still 5 points away from breaking through the flying fairyland. The Sky Patrol ship crashed into the wall and stopped not far away. And then, it was also at this moment, Long Fei roared, "Gu Tong Tian, I will fuck your ancestors." Rumble. A loud sound echoed out. Everything within a 10,000-kilometer radius shook. Long Fei, it's the boss. It's the young master. Big brother Long Fei, you finally made it. Yinner giggled. Bastard, you're finally here? Ha ha! The young lord is back. At this moment, Long Army's morale was boosted and his fighting strength was boosted. As soon as Long Fei finished speaking, his right hand suddenly exerted force and shouted, Gu Tong Tian, eat this. Shua! A black shadow flashed out. Gu Tong Tian laughed coldly and said, Long Fei, is that all you have? Humph. He moved his body and sent a palm strike forward. Rumble. Gu Tongtian's body was ripped into pieces, and a head flew out. Gu Tongtian's eyes tensed up. Limitless, limitless. The person Long Fei threw out just now was human. Gu Wuji. He was the only descendant of Gu Tongtian in the gods' martial continent. Gu Tongtian raged. His fury ignited crazily as he roared at Long Fei. Long Fei, I will kill you. At this moment, Long Fei had already landed within the Yuan Long dynasty. Looking at the huge dragon, he said, Grandfather, your grandson is unfilial. Yuan Long City was in a complete mess. Countless Long family disciples had died. Long Sanfeng's tears fell profusely as she said, Xiao Fei, it's not too late. It's not too late at all. It's good that you're here. Long Fei looked at Jojo, the leopard girl, the three sisters, Yuan Ling, one brother after another, their friends. Long Fei was incomparably moved by this. At the same time, his fury exploded even more violently than before. Yinner said, Big brother Long Fei, quickly go and save the fatty big brother and the rest. They are imprisoned inside Hell's Wheel. Long Fei looked at a special weapon floating in the sky. Hell Wheel. Then, he looked at the nearby Song Qiansheng, who had a look of despise on his face. At this time, Yinner continued, Big brother Long Fei, there's still 1,000 big sisters in the Hell's Wheel. If you can't break it, or even break it, big sister Qian will also die. Boss, it's too late. 2 more minutes. If you don't save Open Dragon Domain in 2 minutes, everyone will die. You won't be able to save them all by yourself. Boss, the Open Dragon Domain is more important. Let's wait for Open Dragon Domain to explain everything. Let's put these things to the side first. Boss, there's no time. The Dragon Ancestor quickly urged. There really was no time. Moreover, one of the essential requirements of the Open Dragon Domain, the 3rd level of the Dragon Domain's heart, had not been opened yet. If the Dragon Domain was not opened, the entire God's martial continent would have collapsed. Song Qiansheng laughed complacently and said, Long Fei, your brothers and women are all inside there, enduring 108 kinds of deaths in hell. Want me to let them go? Kneel down and beg me. Ha ha. Song Qiansheng smiled proudly. If Long Fei kneeled down to him, then his influence would definitely surpass Gu Tongtian's, and he would become the king of God's martial continent. Long Fei originally wanted to settle the matter with the Dragon Domain, but seeing Song Qiansheng being so arrogant, looking at the golden light enveloping his body, he was unhappy. Grandfather, you lead everyone to the black hole first. Everyone go. Long Sanfeng asked, What about you? Long Fei smirked, stared at Song Qiansheng and laughed coldly. I'm going to blow him up. Chapter 1091, Now It's Your Turn. Chapter 1091, Now It's Your Turn. Long Zhanting had said it before. There must be a reason behind letting him bring the disciples of the Long family into the Dragon Domain. However, not just the Long family disciples. Long Fei wanted to bring all his friends, brothers, and women into the Dragon Domain. Grandfather, all of you hurry over. You'll be here soon. After Long Fei finished his sentence, he stared at the face of Song Qiansheng, who deserved a beating, and said, I will explode today. You have the same surname as me. Song Qiansheng laughed coldly. Long Fei, if I don't beat you down and make you kneel in front of me today, I will change my surname to yours. His cultivation wasn't low. During this year, when he was cultivating an outer space palace, his cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds. It could be said that even a 9th-level flying immortal powerhouse was no match for him. Long Fei. He didn't care that the flying immortal was not even a first rank. Long Sanfeng did not hesitate and shouted loudly, "Long family disciples, listen to me. Follow me." Long Sanfeng quickly rushed towards the direction of the imperial palace's black hole. The Long family disciples followed closely behind. Jojo, the leopard girl, and the others wanted to say something to Long Fei, but they could only endure their words and quickly followed Long Sanfeng towards the palace. In their hearts, they were all slightly worried and prayed, "Long Fei, you must be safe." Seeing the disciples of the Long family rushing towards the black hole, Gu Tongtian frowned and thought, "It seems like Long Fei has a plan for the open dragon domain." And then, Gu Tongtian immediately gave the order and said, "Chase after him." Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A group of flying fairy strongerman chased after him. But, in that instant, Long Fei's aura spread out to the sky. Boom, boom, boom. Bang. One after another, the flying fairy strongerman were blocked, the corners of their mouths raised, as they stared at Gu Tongtian, who was in the air, and sneered, "You want to pass by here? Unless you can step over my dead body." Dozens of flying fairy strongerman were blocked by Long Fei. Gu Tongtian's eyes turned sinister as he laughed coldly. "You want to step over your dead body? Haha. Long Fei, your pathetic life still has some uses. We won't kill you, but a broken hand, a broken leg, or something like that should not affect your open dragon domain, right?" Gu Tongtian said with a look of contempt. "I've been crushed by Long Fei last year. This year was different. The entire God's martial continent was here. Long Fei was fighting with the entire God's martial continent. He did not have the strength to do so. Furthermore, Gu Tongtian was very clear in his heart that compared to last year, he had become much stronger, a lot, to the point where he was not afraid of anyone. As soon as he finished, Gu Tongtian squinted and said coldly, "Do it." Boom. Without waiting for Gu Tongtian to finish speaking, Long Fei's figure suddenly thrusted forward. The power of chaos was activated and the Super Saiyan mode was activated. He then chopped down with his palm at a flying fairy strongerman rumble. With a huge sound, a few 100 million points of damage floated above the powerhouse's head. Instant kill. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei. The system beep rang. Long Fei did not stop. He turned his body and hugged his fists. And before the flying fairy strongerman could react, he jumped up heavily and punched toward the head of a flying fairy strongerman rumble. His sea of consciousness ruptured, and his mind was destroyed. Another instant kill. Ding. The system sounded out yet again. Fuck, who else? Is the flying fairyland awesome? Amazing, right? What they said, let lousy be smug again. Long Fei roared. With the fusion of chaotic force and his super strength, what difference did it make if his HP reached a few 100 million? Just like before, Gu Tongtian's eyes turned sinister and laughed coldly. "Seems like your cultivation has improved a bit this past year, but you're still not that strong. So what if it's just this little bit of progress? Long Fei, you're too weak. Ha! Let's attack together." Just as Gu Tongtian was speaking, a surge of energy struck down like a thunderbolt. Light array! Buzz! Rays of light suddenly fell, forming a powerful net of energy, trapping all the energy in Long Fei's body. A dozen or so flying fairyland powerhouses instantly attacked. This was a formation of a higher grade than the divine light array. There was only one way to break this type of array. Crush it. Buzz! Long Fei clenched the beam of light with both of his hands, as dense energy continuously surged out. Seal my strength? Gu Tongtian, you think you're qualified? Level 10, unparalleled. Open it for me. Buzz! With his strength lowered, all the god power in his arms erupted and directly broke apart the two beams of light. Long Fei's right hand clenched, and the dragon salure dropped down. He turned around and slashed. Killing God Chop. Chaotic force surged, and the dark energy blade of the dragon salure chopped down with a strong devouring force. Rumble. The light array shattered. Long Fei took a step forward, grabbing one of the flying fairy strongerman. He punched him. After being sent flying, Once the dragon salure was kept, they summoned the Pan-Gu axe. With a swoosh sound, a drop of black blood essence floated above the bodies of the powerhouse S. Boom! Boom! Continuously attacking. In a short half a minute, Flying Fairy Stronger Man, who had charged up, had 5 drops of black blood essence hanging from his body. Inflicts bleed damage. Blood was falling rapidly above their heads. Moreover, it also triggered a powerful attack at this moment. Nox Zass's guillotine. Long Fei moved. He leaped up high and slashed at one of the Flying Fairy Stronger Man's. Kacha! With its head cut off, its body was split in half, and after a miserable scream came a system beep. After dying, the skill's cooldown was restored. Crack! Without saying anything further, he leapt up and slashed again. Ah! The system beeped once again. Once again leaping up, the Pan-Gu axe slashed down ferociously. Ah! Crack! Ding! It was just like the rhythm of a battle. With the axe in hand, a head flew off and a system announcement rang out. The skill had finished its cooldown. Another axe strike followed. Crack! He began to soar in the air with amazing rhythm. In 10 seconds, 10 Flying Fairy Stronger Man-s were killed. The experience points prompt reached 99. 99%, and all one had to do was kill one of them to level up. Then he could break through the flying fairyland. At this time, 1 minute passed, and only 1 minute remained. Green Dragon Ancestor, Black Dragon Ancestor, Sea Dragon King, and the others were extremely nervous, but they did not rush Long Fei. Instead, he waited quietly. Long Fei checked his experience slot and smiled slightly. He stared at Dark Domain Lord Song Qiancheng, who was not far away, and said, Song Qiancheng, it's your turn now. Bring it on. Let me blow you up. As soon as he finished, Long Fei rushed forward. The corners of Song Qiancheng's eyes turned cold, and the hell's wheel in the air started to move as well. Brat died. Chapter 1092, 10 seconds remaining. Chapter 1092, 10 seconds remaining. The power of a level 8 flying immortal burst out. Idea controlled the hell wheel and used it to block in front of her. Hellwheel cannot be destroyed. Once it was destroyed, his brotherhood would instantly die within. This was Long Fei's weakness. Song Qiancheng laughed complacently. Long Fei, if you have the guts, break the hell's wheel. Ha ha, your brother will die in there too. Ha ha, see through Long Fei. His weakness was his brothers and family. As long as he caught them, Long Fei would definitely not dare to act rashly. When Hell's Will was in front of him, Long Fei frowned. You are really despicable. Ha ha, despicable? What was despicable? Only the weak would say those 2 words. Song Qiancheng laughed complacently. There was no other way he could do it. The hand Song Qiancheng placed on his back condensed a ray of dark energy. His strength sank. After bombarding the Hell Wheel with a single move, he smiled sinisterly. Hell's 10,000 arts, Ashura. Buzz! A dark energy pierced through the Hell Wheel, and an incomparably powerful shadow rushed out from it. It was a huge devil. He struck his palm towards Long Fei. Boom! Long Fei's body sunk, heavily smashing into the ground, the blood in his chest tumbling uncontrollably as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Ashura? Then let's see whose Ashura is fiercer. Boom! With one leap, he landed in midair. The sky-burning dragon gun in his left hand, the dragon salure in his right, and a Pan-Gu axe in his mouth. His body was burning with flames. White steam rose continuously. His eyes were dark and gloomy like a demon's. He was incomparably domineering. In this instant, Long Fei's low voice sounded out. Nine Knives Force Ashura. Ghost! Shwa! His figure suddenly disappeared. Then, with a thought, the shadow of the Ashura rushed out from the Hell's Wheel. His body fell, and the shadow of the Ashura behind him shattered into 1,800 pieces. He vanished into nothingness. Long Fei raised his eyes, staring at the distant Song Qiancheng. His body moved once again, Super Saiyan. He's unparalleled at level 10. Long Fei's strength changed once again. The attribute power of 1024 was released. Tyrant's might. Long Fei's gaze shook. Wong. An incomparably sharp gaze shot out. An incomparably powerful strength instantly crushed everything in its path. It was just like a domineering aura as it rumbled through the air, causing an explosive sound. Boom! Song Qiansheng, who was at the 8th stage of the flying immortal stage, was almost unable to resist it. His body sank. His head felt incredibly heavy, and he felt dizzy. This time was very short, but to a powerhouse, this was an extremely fatal blow, no matter how short it was. In this instant, Song Qiansheng looked up and stood in front of him. His mind trembled. The idea instantly controlled Hell's wheel and shouted, "Long Fei, if you dare touch me." Not waiting for him to finish, Long Fei roared, "The one I'm touching is you." 3 weapons moved at the same time. Lion Elegy. In the air, 3 incomparably strong energies explosively shot out, and Long Fei's body moved. Pucci. Over 300 million damage floated up above Song Qiansheng, but his HP reached for 8 billion, so this 300 million damage was nothing to him. However, while he's sick, take his life. Long Fei would definitely not give him a chance to catch his breath. The moment Song Qiansheng spat out a mouthful of blood, both of his fists exploded with superpower. Boom, boom, boom. His fists were like a storm. Berserk critical strike. Ah! Long Fei roared, his fists dancing wildly, hitting Song Qiansheng until he kept spitting out blood. Every time he punched, it would cost him tens of millions or hundreds of millions of damage. The amount of blood on top of Song Qiansheng's head was decreasing. Heaven. Western Devil Lord, Gu Tongtian, the 3 of them had all fought with Long Fei before, and that was 1 year ago. Compared to a year ago, the current Long Fei could only be described with one word: terrifying. Too terrifying. Song Qiansheng, who was at the 8th stage of the flying immortal stage, had completely lost the ability to resist. If this continued, he would be killed off by Long Fei in less than half a minute. Not even that. They thought of themselves. This was what truly frightened them. Could they bear it? Outside of Gu Tongtian, both Heaven and the Western Devil Lord had a cold look in their eyes. Obviously, they couldn't take it. In this past year, Long Fei had another fortuitous encounter. In the chaos of time and space, one had to endure pain that normal people could not withstand. They had to use the power of chaos to force themselves to fuse with the power of chaos. Only a madman would do such a crazy thing. Boom, boom, boom. As his fist landed on the flesh, blood spurted out from his fist. "Brother Gu, should we make a move?" Heaven asked. After all, they were still in an alliance. It wouldn't be good to watch Song Qiansheng die like this, right? Western Devil Lord also looked at Gu Tongtian. The 2 of them were afraid because they were worried that they would become the second Song Qiansheng. If they were to attack together, they would definitely be able to heavily injure Long Fei. Gu Tongtian slightly smiled and said, "Isn't it better if we split the Dragon Domain's secret treasures with one less person?" Heaven and Western Devil Lord were stunned at the same time. Seeing the look in Gu Tongtian's eyes, he was filled with confidence and did not place Long Fei in his eyes at all. Gu Tongtian laughed and said, "Don't worry, Long Fei won't be skipping for long. I have absolute confidence that I can cripple him." Confidence. Strong confidence. 1 year ago, he might still be worried about Long Fei becoming stronger, but now, even if Long Fei became stronger, she would still not be his match, because he had grasped the power of one slash, a power that could crush anyone in God's martial continent. As long as he had this power, a mere Long Fei would not even need to put him in his eyes. One had to know, this was an outer space powerhouse, a divine-level power given to him by a divine-level powerhouse. Thus, Gu Tongtian didn't have any intention to attack. Song Qiansheng was blown into a human shape, but he did not give up. His idea was still continuously controlling the Hell Wheel, controlling at the moment his body landed on the ground. His body suddenly turned into a ball of black fog. Boom! Suddenly, the black mist condensed. Song Qiansheng gasped for breath. His face was pale white. His entire body was covered in blood. Holding on to Hell's will tightly, he stared at Long Fei and shouted angrily, "Come again! Come again! Long Fei, you son of a bitch! Come and touch me again!" Both of his hands held tightly onto Hell's wheel. As long as Long Fei dared to move, he would destroy it. Song Qiansheng said, "Your 7 King Kongs are all inside. Your woman Song Qianqian is also inside. The moment my idea moves, the Hell's will shatter. Aren't you arrogant? Come on. You actually dared to attack me." The anger in his heart was venting. Long Fei stared at Song Qiansheng, the killing intent in his eyes becoming even stronger. Green Dragon Ancestor reminded him, "Boss, you still have 10 seconds. What should he do?" Chapter 1093, The Eighth King Kong, I Zhulong. Chapter 1093, The Eighth King Kong, I Zhulong. 10 seconds. In an instant, there were brothers on one side and all the brothers on the other. Long Fei didn't even want to give up. However, he had to make a choice now. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly, the joints on his body popping out. Looking at the amount of blood on Song Qiansheng's head, Long Fei thought to himself, he still can't kill him in one hit. If they couldn't kill him in one hit, then Li Yuanba and the others would fall into a death trap. Long Fei would never take his brother's life as a joke, no matter what. Green Dragon Ancestor said again, "Boss, let's go to Dragon Domain first. They will be fine." The time was almost up. If he did not make it to open Dragon Domain soon, the Dragon Domain would collapse, the entire God's Martial Continent would collapse, and in the end, the entire plane of the God's Martial Continent would collapse. Song Qiansheng laughed complacently. "Ha ha, Long Fei, you have only touched me now, ha? Why aren't we moving? F***CK. Is a dog like you worthy to fight with me? Hit me? Now let's fight one more time. You're so awesome. Let's fight one more time." Song Qiansheng was extremely angry. Long Fei's gaze was gloomy, and his heart was filled with anger. Gutan Tian moved through the air and floated above Song Qiansheng's head. Staring at Long Fei, who was on the ground, he sneered, "Long Fei, you still have a chance to choose right now. Be good and listen to me. Otherwise, everyone in Yuan Long Dynasty will die." Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Asterisk numerous flying fairy stronger man descended and stood behind Song Qiansheng. Their eyes were ice cold and filled with contempt as they stared at Long Fei. In the distance, Long Sanfeng and the others had already arrived, and they were extremely worried. "Young master, Long Fei." All the girls started to worry for Long Fei and started to silently pray. Everyone was worried for Long Fei. The current Long Fei was simply too difficult. He did not want to give up on anyone, especially his 7 King Kongs. It was impossible for him to abandon them, even if the world were to be destroyed. Song Qiansheng laughed out loud and said, "Be obedient, be as obedient as a dog, understand?" Ha ha ha, ha ha. The flying fairy stronger man behind him all started to laugh loudly. He mocked and despised them. None of them knew that the God's Martial Continent was about to collapse, that the entire plane was about to explode. They did not know that Long Fei was the only one who could save them. Long Fei looked at the mockery on their faces, and when he saw the looks of contempt on all of their faces, he sneered and said, "You like to ridicule others? Then go to hell together." At this moment, Long Fei made a decision. She would not save him. He wanted to be tough. What God's Martial Continent? What saving a plane? What the hell did that have to do with him? Long Fei's awareness was not that high. In the face of a life and death situation with his brothers, what point did he have in giving up his brothers and saving tens of billions of people? Especially their ridicule against the nerve in Long Fei's heart. If you like to laugh, then go to hell. Suddenly, Long Fei's gaze was tinged with killing intent as his blood surged. He locked on a Song Qiansheng and said, "You don't dare to touch me, right? I'll take a look at each of them." Song Qiansheng frowned, feeling the killing intent coming out of Long Fei's body. He became nervous. "Long Fei, what are you trying to do? Aren't you afraid that I'll kill them all?" At this moment, A manic voice sounded. Kill me? I'm going to kill you. Li Yuanba's voice. The Hell's Wheel moved. Li Yuanba's golden body rushed out with the 7 King Kongs following closely behind. You all. Song Qianqing's eyes bulged out. His pupils flickered. He could not believe that they would be able to come out. The Hell's Wheel's power was too strong. No one could endure the pain of 101 death. But even in his wildest dreams, Song Qianqing would never have thought that Long Zhanting could enter the Hell's Wheel. You know, he was someone who signed a contract with the Death God. There was no death land that he couldn't go to. Kill. Suddenly, 7 King Kongs moved in unison. Long Fei saw a ray of hope. Boom! Boom! Song Qianqing's entire body was bound by the 7 King Kongs. Long Fei grinned and laughed wildly, saying, Song Qianqing, go and die. Song Qianqing's eyes trembled. No, don't kill me. I am Song Qianqing's father. You cannot kill me. Brother Gu, save me. Master Magic Tribe, save me. No one saved him. Long Fei rushed over from afar, kicked Song Qianqing's lower jaw, and sent him flying into the air, after which he roared loudly, Father, let's go to the Imperial Palace. Yuanba, you guys go too. The moment he finished his words, both of Long Fei's arms swelled up and shot out like a cannonball towards Song Qianqing's chest, blasting him flying in the direction of the Imperial Palace's black hole. This is bad. Long Fei is about to enter the open dragon domain. Western Devil Lord's forehead shook. The expressions of the numerous flying fairy Strongerman changed. With the opening of the dragon domain at hand, they could not afford to miss out on the opportunity. And then, the flying fairy Strongerman were out of control and rushed towards the palace. At this moment, the Death Reaper rune on Long Zhanting's body spread out, and with a heavy sound, he said, Nobody can even dream of approaching the Imperial Palace. His right hand turned into a palm, slamming heavily onto the ground. The runes on his body were like spirit channeling techniques, falling onto the ground one by one and forming a huge formation model. When a drop of Long Zhanting's blood essence fell, all the strength in his body increased greatly as he roared towards the sky. Lord Death God, descend. Buzz! A powerful aura of death descended from the sky, exploding at the heart of the formation. Next, a malevolent giant with a black sickle in his hands slowly rose from the ground. Death, the real god of death. With empty eyes, his sinister laughter resounded in the hearts of everyone present. Long Zhanting, you still have one last wish. I will help you achieve it. The hollow voice of the god of death resounded in the sky. Long Fei stopped in midair. His face sank as he shouted loudly, Father! Long Sanfeng was also stunned. Long Zhanhai was also at a loss, and muttered, Third brother! Everyone was stunned. Long Zhanting, mysterious disappearance. The next time he appeared was in this manner. Sign a contract with the Grim Reaper. Long Sanfeng's heart ached. Oh God! Why did you do this to my Long family, to us? Long Zhanting looked at the direction of the palace and smiled, saying, Father, your son is unfilial. I am sorry. Long Fei, we will depend on you to get the Long family together. Father, I trust you. You will definitely succeed. Long Zhanting laughed and said, Lord Death God, let's begin. At this moment, Li Yuanba and the rest of the 7 did not leave as well. They had to buy more time for Long Fei. In that instant, Long Fei's Arhut King Kong was out of his control as he broke through the void. A monk carrying a broken fan on his back and dressed like a beggar landed on the ground. I'm Descending Dragon. Chapter 1094, Opening of the Dragon Domain. Chapter 1094, Opening of the Dragon Domain, the 8 King Kong. Return of the Arhut King Kong. Long Fei had killed the principal of 18 matrial halls and completed the mission called Arhut King Kong. After refining successfully, he had not been able to summon it. However, in that instant just now, the Arhut King Kong was completely out of Long Fei's control, and he walked out of the void. They landed beside Li Yuanba and the others. At this moment, The hearts of the 8 suddenly skipped a beat. Holy King Kong, demon subduing Vajra, sword force King Kong, arrogant knife King Kong, holy armor King Kong, Yuling guardian warrior, God, water King Kong, the last to step onto the stage, Arhut King Kong. All assembled. The 8 of them seemed to have reached an understanding in their hearts, connecting together the moment the Arhut King Kong descended. My heart, my mind, it seems, linked together? Is that so? Lin Yusheng said in his heart. Li Yuanba immediately grinned, put a hand on the monk's shoulder, and said, Hee, you're number 8. You came last. Oh yeah, what did you say your name was just now? The monk put his hands together and said, I am a monk, my dragon. Li Yuanba said, I, Li Yuanba, holy King Kong. The celestial spirit laughed. I am a celestial spirit and a Yuling guardian warrior. After which, they introduced themselves one by one. At the same time, they laughed and laughed heartily, because they had already decided that no matter what happened, they would help Long Fei stop Gu Tongtian and the others. Even if it meant death, they would use their lives to stop Long Fei, because they were Long Fei's brothers. It's Long Fei's 8 King Kong. Since he was 8 King Kong, he had to do what King Kong had to do. All 8 of them were extremely excited to meet Long Fei, excited to have such a boss, and their hearts were all filled with gratitude, because Long Fei gave them a completely different world, a world where one could brag for the rest of his life. In that instant, Long Zhanting let out a heavy roar and said, Lord Death God. The god of death smiled and said, Don't worry, I will definitely do what I've promised you. Long Zhanting, aside from this matter, you still have one last wish. You must cherish it well. As soon as he finished, the god of death's empty eyes shook, and the power of death exploded outwards, instantly blocking all the flying fairy stronger man and engulfing the black hole in the palace. No one could get in. At the same time, Long Fei and the others could not come out either. No. Father! Long Fei rushed forward, but was blocked by a thick layer of energy. Yuanba, Sky Spirit, Aoya. Li Yuanba looked at the distant Long Fei and said, Boss, meeting you is the most awesome thing in our lives. Boss, do your own thing. Leave this to us. Haha, it's finally time to go all out. Long Fei wanted to rush back, but he couldn't. The green dragon ancestor said, Long Fei, there is no time. Also, they are protected by death, so they will definitely be fine. Sea Dragon King also said, Boss, don't worry. When we get the power, Gu, Tongtian, or the army of Immortal Domain, we will kill them all. Boss, it's too late. The 46th Dragon Ancestor anxiously said, If not for Open Dragon Domain, this beam of light would have pierced through his body. That way, the whole plane would have ruptured. Song Qiansheng laughed out loud and said, Long Fei, your father, your brothers will all die. Long Fei, how does this feel? It must be great. Long Fei's pupils turned blood red. He stared at the Song Qiansheng. He kicked into the air above the imperial palace and roared, F***CK, your ancestors. One punch. It directly sent Song Qiansheng into the light beam and roared out, Die. Long Fei fell into a state of madness. He loudly said to Long Sanfeng, Grandfather, I need a drop of your blood essence. Inhaled, and with a move of his right hand, he took out the Dragon Domain's hard idea and shouted, Open the 3rd level. At this moment, Long Fei roared in his heart, Yuan Long Holy Body. The power of the powerful Yuan Long Holy Body gushed out. Long Fei looked at the beam of light that could destroy everything and clenched his fists. He rushed forward. Boom! Body close to the beam. Green Dragon Ancestor immediately said, Boss, your cultivation is still in the immortal realm. Even if you possess the strength of a Yuan Long, you still won't be able to withstand the power of this dragon. Boss, you can't do this. Boss! All the dragon ancestors exclaimed in shock, but Long Fei did not slow down and continued to rush ferociously into the beam of light. One had to know that the power of this beam of light was nothing more than ashes if it were to come into contact with it. The few flying fairyland powerhouses just now were all the same. Paying attention to Long Fei flying towards the light beam, Luluashi's eyes sunk. His heart almost rose to his throat. He even forgot to breathe, feeling extremely afraid. Big brother Long Fei. Young master, Long Fei. Their hearts rose to their throats. Long Sanfeng looked at Long Fei, who was in the sky. Long Zhaning was also looking at him. Gu Tong Tian, the Western Devil Lord, was also looking at him. Everyone in the Yuan Long dynasty was looking at Long Fei, who was hovering in the air. His figure charged towards the incomparably dazzling light like a black dot. Am I going to die? He would be killed by the beam. No one could get close to the beam. No one could resist this destructive power. Boss, retreat. Boss, Green Dragon Ancestor shouted. Long Fei grinned and chuckled. Flying Fairyland? At this moment. Ding! The system sounded out. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Song Qiansheng for obtaining 9 billion experience, power of celestial, and 10 energy values. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Hell's Wheel. Congratulations, player. The system sounded out continuously. At this moment. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level. Flying Immortal Stage, Level 1. Rumble. The power and defense of the Flying Fairyland quickly rushed into Long Fei's body, and the strength of his Yuan Long became even stronger. At this moment, Long Fei rushed into the beam of light. It's over. Long Fei is finished. Everyone's heart sank. Long Fei was definitely dead. Song Qiansheng, who was at the 8th level of the Flying Immortal Stage, was also instantly crushed into smithereens. Gu Tongtian's eyes moved. No. Long Fei. All hope lay in him alone. At this moment, even the Grim Reaper looked at the black dot within the beam of light, slowly shrinking before disappearing completely. The entire world became quiet. There was not a single sound. Suddenly, Yun'er giggled, raised her head to look at the sky, and said, Big brother Long Fei is still alive. The beam stopped working. Opening Dragon Domain. Chapter 1095, Long Zhanting dragged into the Infernal Realm. Chapter 1095, Long Zhanting dragged into the Infernal Realm. Whoa, whoa, whoa. A series of explosions could be heard from within the beam of light, as if a gigantic drill bit was slowly stopping its drilling. A few seconds later, buzz. The beam of light disappeared, and a beam of golden light flashed from the huge black hole in the palace, after which it fell silent. Open, open, open. The first thing Green Dragon Ancestor felt was the presence inside the Dragon Domain. In that fleeting moment, Long Fei broke through his limits, inserted the Dragon Domain's heart, and unleashed the power of the Yuan Long's body. This was too astonishing. Ding! Congratulations, player Long Fei opened Dragon Domain. You have received 100 million experience points, 1 million power of celestial points, and 1 million points in special rewards. In the sky, Long Fei's figure descended. Glancing in the direction of his father, his gaze darkened, and he said faintly, Father, don't worry. I will definitely meet the open Dragon Domain, and will definitely complete the path that you have yet to complete. Father, hold on. Yuan Ba, hold on. I will definitely rush back as soon as possible. He said to Long Sanfeng. Grandfather, let's go down. Long Sanfeng said in a daze, Xiao Fei, your father. Long Fei forced a smile and said, Grandfather, don't worry. Daddy will definitely be fine. At most, it would be in the next hell. This time, the one facing him was the Death God, and the same was true for him. With the Death God barrier activated, even Long Fei had no way to break it now. He could do nothing but enter the Dragon Domain to obtain stronger power. Let the Dragon Ancestor return to his seat. The other method was to fuse with the Yuan Long's claw and complete the mission Dragon Domain. Long Sanfeng trembled slightly and said, Disciples of the Long family, listen up. I'll enter the black hole. Long Fei walked over to Jojo, Leopard Girl Lu Luashi, and the others, and watched them mature and grow more beautiful. Long Fei blamed himself. Jojo walked forward and said, "Young master, don't be like this." Luluashi said, "Long Fei, you've suffered." The thing that Long Fei was carrying was something they could not imagine, and it was also incredibly heavy. Long Fei said lightly, "From today onwards, I will not let you suffer any further. Come down with me." Long Fei stretched out his right hand and held Jojo's small hand. Jojo's body trembled slightly as her cheeks flushed red. She was a little embarrassed. The leper girl was full of wild nature. She directly grabbed on a Long Fei's arm and said, "Husband, I don't want to leave you ever again. Come, let's see what a dragon domain is." Long Fei tightly gripped their small hands and heavily jumped down. Thousands of Long army entered the black hole. The woman and her brothers beside Long Fei also jumped down. Gu Tongtian watched Long Fei jump down helplessly. There was nothing he could do, and the unwillingness in his heart made him go crazy. Roar! Break through the barrier. The dragon domain was open, but he couldn't enter. All these years of waiting, all these years of doing everything in vain, this was unbearable for Gu Tongtian's heart. Both of his eyes stared straight at Long Zhanting and said, "Long Zhanting, I want you dead." Long Zhanting laughed and said, "Gu Tongtian, didn't you always want to obtain secret treasure of Long Clan? Didn't you always want the open dragon domain? Now that the dragon domain is open and you can't enter, how does that feel?" "Ha ha, Gu Tongtian, your 18 generations of ancestors, will return my wife." Long Zhanting rushed forward recklessly. With a thunderous roar, he released all the power in his body. A long sword flashed out with the sky full of sword flowers. Each sword flower was like a sword spirit, soared intent to the sky. It was incomparably fierce. At this moment, Western Devil Lord shouted loudly, "Kill him!" The giant spirit axe in Li Yuanba's hands trembled and said, "Brothers, it's time for our 8 King Kong to erupt. Flip over all these immortal domain dogs." Boom! Li Yuanba took the lead and instantly rushed out. A burst of divine power surged out from his body. With a flash of golden light, he chopped down with his axe at a flying fairy stronger man who was rushing towards him. Rumble! The great axe split the sky, and a gigantic divine energy surged. One strike was enough to instantly kill him. Next, the 7 King Kong followed closely behind Li Yuanba and started to attack crazily. All of a sudden, the sky above Yuan Long City turned dark and the entire Nantian region trembled. 8 King Kong, heart connecting heart, strength gathering, unleashed 8 times of his strength. Ordinary mortal domain were simply not his opponent and were completely killed by him. 8 people. Die. Boom! The Holy Spirit power of the sky spirit exploded. Blade Waltz. Boom! Aoya's sword intent. God Emperor Berserk Slash. The wild blade of the black knife was unleashed to its fullest potential. 8 King Kong unleashed all of his power, looking unstoppable. Long Zhanting and Gu Tongtian were fighting hand to hand. In a few thousand rounds, they were evenly matched. The surrounding flying fairy stronger man could not enter their battle at all. It was completely blown away by the flames of their bodies. Just when everything was going on normally, suddenly, the death god who had not moved all this suddenly spoke. "Long Zhanting, it's time." Finished. The enormous scythe in the death god's hand suddenly hooked, and directly hooked onto Long Zhanting's body. The scythe pierced down from his chest and appeared from his back. He forcefully dragged it. Boom! Long Zhanting's body was violently sent flying, blood gushing all over the ground as he said in a loud voice, "Lord Death God, please give me a little more time. Please give me a little more time." The Grim Reaper stopped and said faintly, "You still have one last wish. I will help you fulfill it all. Do you want to use your last chance?" Long Zhanting was silent. He wanted the death god to kill Gu Tongtian, but he couldn't. What he wanted was not Gu Tongtian's life, but the whereabouts of his wife. Furthermore, it was best if he left a chance for Long Fei, as he had to leave everything for Long Fei. That was all he had in his life. However, He could not let Long Fei stop at the god's martial continent. He should go to an even more powerful plane. Long Zhanting was silent. The Grim Reaper grinned as he took a step forward. Since you don't want to use your last chance, then follow me to hell. Long Zhanting was dragged on the ground. His body was unable to move. Blood flowed all over the ground. Uncle Long, Li Yuanba, turned around and chopped down with his axe towards the incomparably huge god of death, cursing loudly. Go to hell! Go to hell! Don't touch Uncle Long. Without waiting for Li Yuanba's strength to fall, the eyes of the god of death lifted slightly. Buzz! Boom! Li Yuanba was sent flying 10 kilometers by a power, and all the buildings around him turned into ruins. 7 King Kongs moved. The attacks landed in unison. This time, the 7 of them flew out without even raising their eyes. All of them were knocked over. Long Zhanting shouted, "Don't come over!" The god of death's body sank. The huge sickle lifted Long Zhanting up into the air and pulled him into hell. At this moment, Gu Tongtian opened his eyes wide. "Oh, enter Dragon Domain." Chapter 1096, 8 King Kong Formation. Chapter 1096, 8 King Kong Formation. Long Fei had already entered the Dragon Domain. Gu Tongtian definitely could not let Long Fei snatch all the secret treasures from the Dragon Domain. He had waited 100 years for this moment. Now that the opportunity was right in front of him, he wanted to desperately seize it. If they did not catch him now, his lifespan would be running out. So Gu Tongtian rushed forward without a care and shouted, "All of you entered Dragon Domain." The death barrier disappeared, and no one could stop them anymore. However, at this moment, boom! A loud sound came from afar as Li Yuanba flew out from within a pile of ruins. His body exploded as he roared out loudly, "Divine Giant Spirit Power, Third Realm. Open!" Boom! A huge boom sounded out, and Li Yuanba's body underwent a change. In half a second, he turned into a giant and madly rushed out. When he landed heavily in front of the Imperial City's gate, the giant spirit axe in his hands had also become incomparably huge. With a sweep of his sword, it tore through the air and knocked those flying immortal primary realm powerhouses away. "No one can pass through here." Who also don't think. Every word was like thunder. Li Yuanba became a giant. Divine power surged, covering the entire palace. This was pure physical power. Incomparable valiance. Boom! Boom! Figures descended one by one, surrounding the palace. The 8 King Kong floated in mid-air. The black knife's forehead sunk. The great black knife released a dense black aura. Staring at the flying fairy stronger man, he said, "Don't even think about entering." Who also don't think. Boom! The power of the 8 King Kong were linked together, forming a resonance of power, forming a huge net of power that covered the entire palace. Buzz! The power of a formation erupted from the 8 of them, shooting into the sky. Boom! 8 King Kong Formation. 8 people, 8 different types of power formed and linked together to create a formation. This was something that was determined by the power within their bodies, something that they could not control at all. God's martial sect, Long Fei's association. 8 King Kong was the first power under President Long Fei. Moreover, these 8 people were identified by the system. They possessed powers that ordinary martial artists couldn't match. If these energies were combined together, they would produce a tremendous reaction. The 8 King Kong Formation was only activated because Li Yuanba had opened the 3rd stage of the Divine Spirit Realm. The more powerful they were, the stronger, and the fiercer the response from the 8 King Kong. Bring it on. If you want to pass through here, then step over our corpses, haha. The giant spirit axe in his hand pointed towards Gu Tongtian and roared, "We will definitely not let you disturb our boss." Absolutely not. What's in the Dragon Domain? They don't know. But they knew that if Gu Tongtian went in, it would cause trouble for Long Fei, so they would definitely not let him in. It was that simple. It was that simple. Gu Tongtian was furious. He could not wait any longer. What was happening below? Had Long Fei obtained all the secret treasures in the Dragon Domain? He didn't know. His heart was filled with even more anger. Gu Tongtian stared at Li Yuanba and asked, 8 King Kong, right? Today, I will turn you into 8 dead ghosts. Kill. As soon as his voice faded, Gu Tongtian was the first to move. He opened his right hand, and a powerful force at the 9th level of the flying immortal stage struck down like a thunderbolt, causing an explosion in the air. The sky was overcast. A surge of power struck down. It directly struck at the center of the 8 King Kongs array formation. Buzz! The power of the formation exploded outwards. Rays of light shot out. The 8 people's bodies sank. The giant spirit power in Li Yuanba's body surged and exploded. Divine power surged into the formation. Again, the ripples of the formation were instantly suppressed. His power was simply too great. The expressions of all the flying fairy stronger man changed greatly. What was Gu Tongtian's current cultivation? 9th level of the flying immortal stage. God's martial continent's most powerful formation could not withstand his energy attacks. But not only could he endure it, moreover, it suppressed the force of his attack, relying solely on Li Yuanba to forcefully suppress it. How powerful was his strength? It was impossible to understand. Brother Yuanba is indeed fierce. Chun Tianfei became excited. The giant's power was too strong, causing the 7 of them to be extremely excited. Gu Tongtian frowned. He was fuming so much that his teeth chattered loudly, and smoke was coming out from his head. Let's see how many times you can take it. Boom! Gu Tongtian's power surged like a volcano. This time he was even more powerful than last time, as he slashed at the 8 King Kong's array. At this moment, Fat Min Chen grinned and shouted excitedly, "Let me!" Buzz! A bell sound came out from his thick defense. The divine armor in his body started to surge, directly dispersing and protecting the entire 8 King Kong array. Divine armor defense. Divine shield. When Chun Tianfei roared, the holy armor fairy veins power exploded out consecutively as a gigantic shield enveloped the 8 King Kong formation. Buzz! A loud sound echoed out. Gu Tongtian's power struck the divine shield. The array did not budge at all. Just like Panshur, there were no ripples at all. The defense of the divine shield. This was simply heaven-defying. The flying fairylands were all dumbfounded. Was this person even human? 2 heavy blows, 2 resistance, and not a single one of the 8 were injured. They even suspected that these 8 people were not human at all. You want to live more than you want to live? They had cultivated their flying fairyland to a dog's body. Fatty, your defense is heaven-defying. Ha ha! Fat Man Chun, not bad. This defense is invincible. 8 King Kong was also extremely excited. Fat Man Chun scratched his head and laughed. What I am training in is the power of divine armor. My strongest defense is invincibility. This time, smoke rose from the top of Gu Tongtian's head, his face red from anger. I do not believe that your 8 King Kong formation is powerful. Buzz! Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Asterisk the image of Gu Tongtian's figure overlapped layer after layer, and one image was like a Gu Tongtian. They were all frantically condensing their powers at the very last moment. The condensed energy completely superimposed. Break for me! With a palm strike, the power exploded and the sky went dark. In this instant, the Arhut King Kong dragon descended and said, Amit Ba. I'll do it. With a flash of golden light, the power of the dragon's subduing fist covered the entire 8 King Kong array. With a dragon's roar, it charged towards the superpower that was pressing down on him and devoured it. Crack! Rumble! A slight explosion. Then, all the power that Gu Tongtian had released was completely devoured. Not even a fart. Gu Tongtian's anger directly struck at his heart. He was so angry that he vomited blood. 3 attacks. 3 failures. His strength seemed to be tickling the formation. It was not enough. 8 King Kong formation. Awesome. Chapter 1097. Gu Tongtian's Grand Explosion. Chapter 1097. Gu Tongtian's Grand Explosion. Even someone with the strength of a level 9 flying immortal could do nothing. One heart, 8 people, 8 moves, 8 moves. It seemed to be a single person making a move, but it was the strength of 8 people. How could the 8 selected by the system be considered small fish or small prawns? Huff, huff. Gu Tian was furious. His breath was full of sparks as he stared at 8 King Kong, his eyes cold. The Western Devil Lord said slightly, "Brother Gu, the 8 of them combined isn't simple. How about we?" "No need." Gu Tian interrupted him and said, "If even they cannot solve the problem, then I, Gu Tian, will write down the 3 words." Western Devil Lord was stunned. The power behind his 3 moves was at the peak of the 9th level of the Flying Immortal stage. If he could not break the 8 King Kong array like that, then how strong was he? At least, Western Devil Lord did not know. Heaven said slightly, "Brother Gu, for out of the 8 of them are evolved humans, and the one leading them is a giant who has evolved for a generation their strength." Without waiting for him to finish, Gu Tian interrupted him again. "No matter how strong they are, it's useless." Gu Tian's expression had already changed. As if he had instantly become a different person, his eyes were full of ridicule, and he stared coldly at Li Yuanba. "I'll give you a chance to live." All 8 of you kneeled down and kowtow in apology. "I will give you all a chance." Li Yuanba immediately roared, "Cut the F** king crap. If you have the guts, then come." As soon as he finished, Gu Tian's figure disappeared. Suddenly, a colorful light appeared like a god descending. They did not wait for Li Yuanba and the other 3 to react. They could not react at all. Boom! Walala! The 8 King Kong formation instantly shattered into pieces. Bang, bang, bang. Li Yuanba's enormous body was sent flying by a powerful force. The remaining 7 people were also blown away by the same force, unable to resist the colorful light S that were being released at all. A surge of power struck him. The 8 of them flew in 8 different directions. It disintegrated in an instant. And it was also at this moment that the colorful light on Gu Tian's body became a blur and instantly turned into 8 figures. He floated down from the sky. It descended on the head of the 8 King Kong. Without waiting for them to crawl back up from the rubble, Gu Tian stepped on all 8 of them at once, directly stepping on their heads with great force. Rumble! Rumble! 8 loud voices shook the sky. The entire Yuan-Long royal city was trembling, just like a magnitude 10 earthquake. The houses, walls, and various buildings were instantly turned into ruins. Many of the Flying Fairyland's powerhouses were directly shaken until they bled from their 7 orifices and they madly rushed out. He couldn't bear it. This power had never appeared in the gods' martial continent before. Gu Tian stared at the 8 King Kong on the ground and said coldly, "You want to be arrogant with me? 10,000 of you are no match for me. I gave you a chance, but you don't know how to cherish it. Then now, go to hell. Kill Heart." Gu Tian stepped on 8 King Kong's body, and all the energy in his body exploded forth. The colorful light sank. He poured in 10,000 points of power. There was no way to block it. Rumble! The entire Yuan-Long royal city was reduced to ruins. In that instant, 8 different types of forces shot out, causing shock waves that covered 1,000,000 kilometers. Other than the flying fairy stronger man behind him, all other living beings were crushed. Deathlight. This power was so ferocious that it was a complete mess. The 8 King Kong below Gu Tian's feet had no injury on his entire body. His mind was shattered, his sea of consciousness ruptured, and his primordial spirit trembled. Die. All 8 King Kongs died. In that moment, they tried their best, but when they saw the special power being released from Gu Tian's body, they could not resist at all. This exceeded the limits of what they could bear. Even Chun Tianfei's divine resurrection armor had lost its effect and became useless. Death. All of 8 King Kong were dead. Gu Tian walked out of the ruins, his eyes cold, his face devoid of any expression. All the flying fairy stronger man were stunned. As they saw Gu Tian walk towards them, step by step, their hearts trembled. They did not dare to look him straight in the eyes. as though they were afraid that Gu Tongtian would kill them with a single glance. The power he unleashed was too savage. They could not even understand what he meant. Western Devil Lord's heart tensed up. This danger zone does not belong to God's martial continent. Could it be that he obtained the power of another realm? That's not right. He can't even break through the shackles of 500 years of longevity. It's impossible for him to go to the outer realm to obtain even greater power. And why didn't he use a year ago? Could he have been hiding all this time? Gu Tongtian, you sure have hidden yourself deep enough. Western Devil Lord did not dare to look at Gu Tongtian with the gaze of someone who was on equal footing in the past. Heaven was the same. His gaze was filled with reverence. Gu Tongtian walked forward and said faintly, "You will also be able to obtain the Dragon Domain's secret treasure and the strength that I have just given you." Western Devil Lord asked carefully, "Brother Gu, the power just now was?" Gu Tongtian laughed blandly. "This is the power of the outer space powerhouse. As long as you can snatch the Dragon Domain's secret treasure today, you can obtain all of this power. Don't say I didn't give you a chance." Gu Tongtian smiled faintly. The power of the outer space powerhouse. Indeed, the colorful light was a type of godly force. True divine power. No one in the gods' martial continent could withstand it. Right now, he wanted to obtain the Dragon Domain's secret treasure. Even if the secret treasures of the Dragon Domain did not have the power of longevity, he could use these things to exchange for an endless amount of lifespan. The secret treasure of the Dragon Domain, he had to obtain it no matter what. And then, the Flying Fairy Stronger Man were all excited. This power was too shocking. He quickly rushed towards the black hole in the palace. The corner of Gu Tongtian's mouth curled up as he revealed a cold smile and said, "Long Fei, all of your 8 King Kong have gone to see the King of Hell. Now it's your turn." "Huh? Fight with me? You don't even have the qualifications." Gu Tongtian's eyes were filled with disdain. Looking at the gigantic black hole not far away, Gu Tongtian stepped in and said excitedly, "The Dragon Domain's secret treasure is mine. Have you decided? This is your last wish. Once I've fulfilled it, your soul will be mine. You should know what your soul is. Death space." The scythe on his shoulder glinted as he spoke. 8 rays of light floated around him. Light of the immortal soul. The light of the 8 King Kong's primordial spirit. Long Zhanting was very indifferent. He had never been so indifferent before. He was very clear about what his soul was, and he was even more clear about what his wife's soul was. He had witnessed everything that had happened in Yuan Long Dynasty. In his heart, he was even more certain that his wife must have been captured by Gu Tongtian. Long Zhanting nodded heavily. "I've thought it through clearly. I want you to revive them. This is my last wish." Death laughed. He was laughing extremely happily, as though he had obtained something he yearned for. "All right, as your last wish, I will give them some special gifts. I will make them stronger. Long Zhanting, your soul is mine now." Chapter 1098, Losing Power. Chapter 1098, Losing Power. The Dragon Domain was like a huge secret world. When Long Fei entered this place, he was completely shocked by what he saw. Dragon totems could be seen everywhere. Some super advanced technology, even on Earth, was never seen before. It emitted that kind of soul-shaking dragon aura that was sacred and inviolable. It was solemn and dignified, making people not dare to make any sounds. Dragon Domain. Dragon Domain. It's been 6 million years. We're finally back. The Green Dragon ancestors still had another 40 patriarchs that were incomparably excited as they sensed everything in the Dragon Domain. This kind of familiar feeling was too comfortable. The Green Dragon ancestors said to Long Fei, "Boss, the great hall on a mountain far away is the Dragon Hall. The Yuan Long's claws are where they are. All the secrets of the Dragon tribe are located. When the time comes, you can know anything you want." Green Dragon ancestor was excited. Long Fei slightly nodded. "I understand." And then, Long Fei looked at the Dragon Palace on a mountain far away and said, "To the Dragon Palace." Roar! A loud sound was heard. Just as Long Fei was about to cross the valley, a huge aura came crashing down. You humans dare to enter the dragon domain. Hurry up and leave, otherwise don't blame me for being impolite. It was a pair of wings, and its appearance was similar to ice and fire. However, the warning was a lot stronger than the fire and ice, and the dragon aura he was emitting was also a lot stronger. Beside him floated a gigantic trident. A sinister look in his eyes stared straight at Long Fei and the rest. Long Fei moved her body and said, "Green Dragon Ancestor, do you want to come out and settle this?" After all, they were of the dragon race. It would be best if the Green Dragon Ancestor came forward and took care of them. Moreover, in the middle, Long Fei also held back a little. The Green Dragon Ancestor said, slightly, "Boss, you have to walk the path here by yourself. None of us can help you. You want me to leave by myself?" Long Fei replied as the corner of his mouth slightly hooked up, revealing a smile. "Then why didn't you say so earlier?" In that instant, Long Fei took a step forward and said while staring at the incomparably huge winged dragon, "I'll give you a chance to live. Move away a little." "Humph! A scumbag dares to be so impudent in front of me." The wyvern snorted coldly, not waiting for him to finish. Long Fei's figure blurred and instantly appeared in front of the gigantic dragon. Without giving him any time to react, he smashed his fist heavily onto the gigantic dragon's head. Boom! The wyvern was smashed to the ground, and Long Fei instantly landed his foot on the head of the dragon. The winged dragon's eyes were filled with incomparable shock, but it still refused to accept what had happened and said, "Foolish human, do you know where this place is? If you dare to behave atrociously here, then you must also—" Boom! Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Long Fei's power exploded out. An extremely powerful force exploded out, and the punch landed heavily. It directly sent the winged dragon's brain splattering everywhere, and the bloody grooves on its head instantly revealed the bottom. Instant kill. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing 2 winged dragon for obtaining 2 billion experience, 2 million power of celestial points, and 1 energy values point. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Sea King Fork. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining. A few notifications sounded. Long Fei was startled. So powerful. My experience points is actually 100 million more than Song Qiansheng, who is at the 8th level of the Flying Immortal stage. Looks like this dragon domain is the biggest instance dungeon. Haha, if that's the case. The corners of Long Fei's lips curled up as he looked at Dragon Palace on the peak of the mountain in the distance. Yuan Ba, Fatty, you two lead the way. As soon as he finished, Long Fei's heart sank. Yinner said in a low voice, "Big brother Long Fei, big brother Yuan Ba, and big brother Fatty have all yet to enter the dragon domain." Moreover, Long Fei was too excited to think about this just now. 8 King Kong did not follow him into the dragon domain. Long Fei didn't even dare to think about what had happened to them. She could see the future, but Long Fei did not dare to ask. He was afraid. Long Fei did not wait for her to finish speaking and said, "Yinner, no matter what happens, I will not let my brothers easily die. Even if they enter hell, I will still pull them back one by one." It wasn't like he hadn't been to the infernal realm. Yinner did not say anything else, but her eyes glowed with tears. It was hard to tell if he was moved or sad. At this moment, Long Sanfeng and Long Zhanhai walked over and said, "Xiao Fei, where exactly are we?" Long Fei said, "Grandfather, uncle, this is the dragon domain, the place where the dragon clan used to stay." Long Sanfeng slightly nodded and said, "Dragon clan's territory?" Long Zhanhai said, "Xiao Fei, as long as the disciples of the Long family and I activate the dragon clan's blood vein S in our bodies, we won't be able to release even the slightest bit of their power after entering this place. Even the original power has disappeared." Long Sanfeng said, "Is this related to the dragon race?" At first, they didn't say they were afraid of Long Fei being worried. But now that Long Fei had decided to attack, they couldn't hide it anymore. From the moment they entered the dragon domain, all the energy in their bodies had disappeared. Become an ordinary person. Blood vein power, realm strength, method of cultivation. Everything suddenly disappeared. Nothing. No reason found. There were more than 8,000 injured, Long family disciples that had entered the dragon domain. Without exception, all of their power had disappeared. Long Fei turned to look at Ling Long and Jojo, asking, "Where's your strength?" Jojo said, "My power is very normal. There aren't any ripples." Ling Long also said, "Mine is the same." Long Fei frowned slightly and thought, "Seems like it's against the people who possess the Dragon Clan's blood vein. The Dragon Clan's blood vein that was hidden in my body was completely destroyed last time, and I now have the devouring vein, so it's not affected at all. Dragon Clan, Long family. What secret are you two hiding?" Long Fei looked at the Dragon Palace and muttered, "The answer to the riddle is getting closer and closer. I'll see what exactly you're hiding and see what your secret treasure of Long Clan is really like." And then Long Fei immediately said, "Jojo, Luo, Shi, you guys take care of Long Army. I'll take this killing path alone, just follow behind me." This was the path to the Dragon Palace. It was also the return of the Dragon Clan, and it was even more so the path of Long Fei's rise to prominence. He had to walk this path alone. Long Fei looked up at the Dragon Hall, took a step forward, and the Dragon Domain lightly trembled. The dragons on the Dragon Totem seemed to come to life, rushing out from the totem. Long Fei carried the Pan-Gu Axe's head on his shoulder and held the Dragon's Salure in his right hand. Sweeping his eyes across the place, with the gaze of a monarch descending upon the world, he shouted loudly, "Come. All of you, come at me." Boom! Boom! One figure after another descended. Gu Tongtian's heart trembled. He became excited. This is the Dragon Domain. Chapter 1099, 10-Step 1 Kill. Chapter 1099, 10-Step 1 Kill Kill. His body suddenly advanced. The dragon's salure in his hand descended and slashed at a huge dragon. Boom! Sparks flew in all directions as the blade chopped off a few of the dragon's scales. He had become stronger again. Compared to the huge dragon before him, the defense of this huge dragon had doubled. "Boss!" Xiaobai yelled out and said, "It's here." The huge dragon roared, its sinister body writhing in the air. The moment Long Fei retracted his blade, the huge dragon threw out an attack with its body. "Roar!" he bellowed. The incomparably massive dragon head pressed down, as if the sky had collapsed. Long Fei was not afraid. Looking at the dragon head that was rushing down, Long Fei suddenly jumped at the critical moment, standing on the dragon head, and said, "No matter how powerful you are, get down." Boom! The dragon's salure in his hands unleashed its true dragon-slaying power and fiercely stabbed down with his blade, piercing through the skull. Fresh blood spurted out, and the colossal dragon's body rolled around nonstop, screaming in pain. But Long Fei did not care. A fist landed on the dragon's salure's handle. "Get down." Crack! The dragon's salure had completely pierced into the giant dragon's head, its central nervous system rupturing. The giant dragon's body slowly shriveled up, and its huge body fell onto the ground. When his HP fell, so did his blood. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Giant Dragon for obtaining 1 billion experience, 2 million power of celestial points, and 1 energy values. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Giant Dragon Blood Vein. Do you wish to fuse them? Devour. The devouring vein moved and directly swallowed the gigantic dragon blood vein. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Currently at the 2nd level of the Flying Immortal stage. Continue. Long Fei once again took a step forward, and another huge explosion sounded out in the sky as another even more powerful dragon flew out from it. In the distance, the Western Devil Lord asked slightly, "Brother Gu, shouldn't we take the initiative?" Gu Tongtian closed his eyes slightly, closed his mind, and lightly said, "This is the Dragon Domain, the world of dragons. Long Fei is the son of the prophet, and only he can step by step reach the highest point. This is the only way to completely activate Dragon Domain. Don't worry. With Long Fei leading the way, we can save a lot of things. As long as he hasn't reached the Dragon Palace yet, we don't have to worry. Gu Tongtian was the mastermind. He seemed to know everything about the Dragon Domain very well. Western Devil Lord became even more doubtful. Gu Tongtian only had a lifespan of 400 years. Dragon Domain had disappeared for more than 6 million years, and he had never seen Dragon Domain before. If that was the case, the Western Devil Lord's heart trembled, and he thought to himself, that Dragon Domain might not be just a secret art of longevity. There should be something even more powerful inside. This kind of powerful object is what the outer space powerhouse behind Gu Tongtian needs. What is it? The dragon race is a foreign race. Why would they come here? Did they escape here? Bring a super soul treasure? The more Western Devil Lord thought about it, the more shocked he became. Right now, he was even more certain that the Dragon Domain's secret treasure was definitely not some kind of long-lasting secret. It was definitely something else that they could not even imagine being strong enough. What is it? Western Devil Lord looked at the majestic Dragon Palace in the distance and secretly clenched his fists inside his sleeves. Kill, rumble, ding! Long Fei beheaded another gigantic dragon. This time, Long Fei also sustained some injuries, spitting out a mouthful of blood. He's getting stronger and stronger. This Dragon Domain is much stronger than I imagined. A full month passed. Long Fei took less than 1,000 steps with great difficulty, and killed each with 10 steps. It was incredibly difficult. During this journey that did not even take 1,000 steps, Long Fei's body, strength, and speed constantly increased. Every single time, it was as if he was breaking his limits. Again, Long Fei roared and rushed forward. Dragon Mountain Peak and Long Zhanhai looked at Long Fei and felt very upset in their hearts. With the Long family on Long Fei, they couldn't do anything. Ling Long and the others were the same. They could only watch as Long Fei endured the pain. There was nothing they could do. The second month passed. The third month passed. Time flew by. There were tens of thousands of steps required to reach the Dragon Palace. From the moment Long Fei stepped onto the stairs, Long Fei had never stopped his slaughter. One was stronger than the other. One was more brutal than the other. Every time, Long Fei would fight with his life on the line. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Currently at the 6th level of the Flying Immortal stage. Raising 5 levels in half a year. It was incredibly hard to reach the 5th rank. Right now, Long Fei needed 10 billion experience to level up. It was too difficult. Long Fei looked up and saw that the Dragon Palace was getting closer and closer. He clenched his teeth and said solemnly, "Continue." Cough, cough, cough. Cough, cough, cough. Gu Tongtian coughed continuously until a pool of blood appeared. His face was pale, as if he had just run out of oil. His longevity had already reached its limit. Everyone looked at Gu Tongtian with worry. "Master, do you want to urge Long Fei to speed up? Capture a few people around Long Fei and make him speed up." Gu Tongtian was the only one who could deal with Long Fei. They were not his match at all. If Gu Tongtian died, then the secret treasures of the Dragon Domain would have nothing to do with them. Therefore, they were very worried about Gu Tongtian's health. Gu Tongtian raised his head and consumed a tiny medicinal pellet, then said softly, "Don't worry, I won't die yet." After the pill entered his body, his face quickly regained its color. He was brimming with energy, and he didn't seem to be someone who would exhaust his lifespan at all. Gu Tongtian looked at the distant Long Fei and said, "I can wait. Long Fei, you better not disappoint me." Gu Tongtian's lifespan was already up. The reason he didn't die was because of the medicinal pills he consumed, possessing the ability to extend one's life. This was also the pill given to him by the powerhouse. The goal was to give him more time to create that thing for him, the thing that could go against the will of the heavens. Even the divinity was trembling. Boom! Boom! Long Fei was knocked out. His body blurred, and he rushed forward once again, the Pangu axe in his hand slashed at a colossal dragon, severing platform. Boom! A dragon head dropped down, dragon blood sprinkled all over Long Fei's body. The burning hot dragon blood made him even more excited. Next, continuously moving forward. 11th month. Long Fei stepped onto the last step. Buzz! A loud sound was heard as a huge dragon shadow rushed out from the void. Nothing else. It was the Yuan Long, the boss at the top of the 10,000 steps. The Yuan Long laughed slightly. Long family brat, you finally came. I've been waiting here for you for a long time. Wah. Give me everything you have. You should have prepared everything for me. Chapter 1100. Time for us to go on stage. Chapter 1100. Time for us to go on stage. Yuan Long. The body of the Yuan Long that was created from Long Fei's sea of consciousness also became excited. He had fused with the Yuan Long's body. The head of the dragon, the body of the dragon, and the tail of the dragon. The Yuan Long S of the Yuan Long rang in Long Fei's mind and said, Long Fei, I really need to thank you for bringing me back to the dragon domain now. You're not my match at all. Ha ha ha. I'm a Yuan Long, the real leader of the dragon race. What do you mean by that? You are just a puppet, a pawn of mine. If you want to control the dragon race, you must want the secret treasure that we brought from the divinity, right? The voice exploded in Long Fei's mind. Yuan Long is very arrogant. He had waited for a few years, and it was finally here. Long Fei smiled slightly and said, Yuan Long, Yuan Long, you have been in my body for so long. You should know my character. Do you understand? And then, Long Fei raised his eyes, stared at the illusionary body that was condensed out of the Yuan Long's primordial spirit, and said, either kneel down and sing Conquer, or this old man will beat you until you submit. Choose for yourself. Yuan Long's primordial spirit snorted and said angrily, you still dare to be presumptuous in front of me. You're courting death. Long Fei was not the least bit weak, and said, the one seeking death is you. Buzz! Burning heaven! Long Fei grabbed at the air, the sky-burning dragon gun in his hands, pointed a spear at Yuan Long's primordial spirit, and said, you actually chose not to use either method, then die for me. Chua! The Yuan Long has no god. Without saying a word, Long Fei immediately released Burning Heaven's strongest move. The Yuan Long's primordial spirit trembled and was slightly shocked. Even the divine Yuan Long has learned it. Brat, I have really underestimated you. However, no matter what, you won't be my match. Yuan Long's primordial spirit's aura moved and completely crushed them, and more so. This pressure was not aimed at Long Fei's body, but at Long Fei's primordial spirit. Rumble! In that instant, the spirit-less Yuan Long that Long Fei released failed because the incomparably enormous Yuan Long's primordial spirit had already entered his primal world. Compared to the Yuan Long's primordial spirit, Long Fei's primordial spirit was like an ant, so small that it could not be looked at directly. Ha! Puny is humble. A weak primordial spirit, like him, isn't even qualified to fill the gaps in my teeth. Yuan Long's primordial spirit looked down on him and said, Long Fei, your life is mine. You're just a pawn that I arranged over 6 million years ago. Everything you do is in my hands. Do you understand? Now, I want to take back everything that belongs to me. Buzz! The Yuan Long's primordial spirit moved, opening his mouth to swallow Long Fei's primordial spirit. If he swallowed it, Long Fei would instantly die. The primal attack. Long Fei didn't know how to resist at all. At this moment, the dragon ancestors exploded into an uproar. Choose Long Fei. Long Fei is just a pawn arranged by Master Yuan Long. We should follow the heavens' orders and let Boss Yuan Long get everything. Only then can we survive this heavenly tribulation. Bullsh asterisk T, Yuan Long is nothing. He's just a selfish person. For his own sake, I choose Boss Long Fei. Sea Dragon King shouted. Sea Dragon King, you have always been unconvinced with Yuan Long Boss, but you can't choose a human. What can he do? Can he give hope to the dragons? Does he know what the dragon race is going to face? Do you know what the dragon race has to bear? He simply doesn't know that he is a human who is a little special. Indeed, I admit that Long Fei is very powerful. To be able to reach the flying fairyland before the age of 30. His personality is also extremely explosive, but these can't represent anything. We have to choose people that can bring hope to the dragon race, not bring destruction. I agree with Boss Yuan Long. I choose Long Fei. I've followed Long Fei for so long. I know Long Fei's personality very well. He can definitely give the dragon clan a different future, and Long family is a dragon after all. Humph! What kind of dragon? They're just low dragons, dragons without intelligence. That's right, the Yuan Long S were originally hidden in Long Fei's body, but to suddenly fuse all of the blood veins' power into another type of blood vein, it is truly disrespectful to the dragon race. We do not need such a human to lead the dragon race. I choose the Yuan Long. They argued wildly. The original 14th dragon ancestor all chose Long Fei. However, a large portion of the dragon ancestral immortals fused with Long Zhanting's body chose Yuan Long, because Yuan Long were once their boss, and now they were as well. Suddenly, the green dragon ancestor shouted in anger, "The calamity will descend in a month's time, and yet you guys are arguing here. How are you going to survive the calamity like this? If we still can't do it this time, then all the dragons of our bloodline will be wiped out. I hope everyone will seriously consider it. Long Fei is our dragon race's hope." As soon as he finished, the green dragon ancestor roared. With a flash of green light, his primordial spirit left his body and directly entered Long Fei's primordial spirit world. He stared at the huge Yuan Long's primordial spirit and said, "Yuan Long, your world is over." Yuan Long's primordial spirit was stunned and said, "Azure Dragon, you dare to betray me?" Green Dragon Ancestor replied, "It's not betrayal. I'm only choosing the future of the dragon race." You can't give the future of the dragon race to them. The future of the dragon race lies with Boss Long Fei. Boss Long Fei, Azure Dragon, you disappoint me too much. To think that you actually want to choose this dog. Go and die as well. Yuan Long's primordial spirit made a move, filled with furious rage. The green dragon was not afraid. He stood in front of Long Fei and roared. At this moment, Sea Dragon King's primordial spirit rushed out. The primordial spirit of the black dragon ancestor. The origin soul of 8 golden dragons. 14 dragon ancestors' primordial spirits all rushed out, crazily rushing up. But the strongest part of the Yuan Long was not its flesh, but its primordial spirit. Even when the 14th dragon ancestor's primordial spirit was added together, it was still not a match for the Yuan Long and was crazily being crushed. Do you think that trash like you are worthy to fight with me? Eat something other than the inside. If it weren't for me, would you all have escaped divinity? If it wasn't for me, would you guys have survived until now? Now all of you go to hell. The Yuan Long's primordial spirit roared. Green Dragon Ancestor was heavily injured. Black Dragon Ancestor was severely injured. Sea Dragon King was heavily injured. Seeing the 14 Dragon Ancestor being heavily injured one by one, Long Fei was worried. His mind kept thinking about how to deal with the Yuan Long's primordial spirit. How can I deal with Yuan Long's primordial spirit? Suddenly, a voice traveled into Long Fei's sea of consciousness. "Brat, have you forgotten about your devouring vein?" Long Fei's gaze darkened as he became excited. Devouring vein. Not only could it swallow the other party's blood vein, it could also swallow the primordial spirit and flesh. Long Fei laughed. At the same time, Gu Tong Tian looked up, smiled slightly, and said, "It's time for us to make an appearance." Chapter 1101. You're the Boss. Chapter 1101. You're the Boss. 14th Dragon Ancestor made their choice. The remaining Dragon Ancestor's choice was, whoever wins will be recognized. They will not choose the weak. The dragon race was just like this. Power was king. No matter how extravagant your words were, it was useless. What they believed in was raw power. Simple and crude. Waha! Azure Dragon, Black Dragon, you trash dare to fight against me? All of you go to hell. The voice of the Yuan Long sounded very arrogant. His primordial spirit had always remained in the dragon domain. In other words, his primordial spirit has always been in the state of the Yuan Long, and the 14th dragon ancestor has not yet truly returned to its original position. Its strength cannot be compared on the same level as the Yuan Long's primordial spirit. He wasn't a match at all. Boss, we can't take it anymore. Boss, I'm sorry. I can't protect you anymore. The golden dragon said solemnly. Boss, thank you for taking care of me all this time. Boss, I won't give you any gas bullets in the future. Boss, someone said. They knew that they could not hold on any longer. Even if their primordial spirits recovered their strength, they could not block the primordial spirit of the Yuan Long. However, too weak, Yuan Long's primordial spirit laughed out arrogantly. Don't worry, I, your boss, will personally send him to hell. You all won't feel lonely. Huh? Azure Dragon, this is the result of betraying me. The person you chose is just trash. Ha ha. Yuan Long's primordial spirit laughed crazily. He was going to get everything soon. If the 14th dragon ancestor primordial spirit died, Long Fei's primordial spirit would be destroyed instantly, and the body of a Yuan Long in his body would be his. More than 6 million years. He had waited for more than 6 million yuan, and he had waited too long for this to happen. Now, he was finally going to succeed. Die. The Yuan Long's primordial spirit let out a loud roar as the powerful primordial spirit power exploded forth, wrapping around the 14th dragon ancestor. God Burial. Destroy. A powerful destructive force emanated from within the power. Green dragon ancestor turned around to look at Long Fei and said, Boss, we'll be taking our leave first. He closed his eyes. They had given up resisting. Facing the power of a Yuan Long, they had no power to resist and could only accept their fate. However, Long Fei never accepted his fate. Even if he was about to die, he wouldn't resign himself to fate, because the people of Long family never believed in fate. They only believed in themselves. Suddenly, Long Fei's tiny primordial spirit moved and landed in front of the 14 dragon clans. Looking at the incomparably enormous Yuan Long's primordial spirit, he asked solemnly, Do you know where this is? My soul space, my territory. Arrogant in my territory, there will only be one outcome. Long Fei's voice turned cold, and he said sinisterly, Die. Yuan Long's primordial spirit laughed crazily and said scornfully, Die? What are you going to use to kill me? If Long Fei didn't have my guidance, you would still be a lame duck. In front of me, not waiting for him to finish, Long Fei glared from between his brows and roared out his heart. Devouring vein move. Buzz! A loud explosion resounded in the space of the primordial spirit. Yuan Long's primordial spirit was startled. He sneered, You little rascal, you are not even comparable to an ant in front of me. Do you understand? If I want you to die, you must die. Is that so? Then let me see your death now. The corner of Long Fei's mouth hooked up. He could clearly feel the devouring veins, energy surging and surging. Yuan Long's primordial spirit snorted and said, Since you want to die, I'll grant your wish. A voice rang out. An incomparably powerful force surged out. At this moment, Long Fei took a step forward. Green dragon ancestor suddenly shouted, Boss, be careful. At this moment, the 14 dragons couldn't care so much anymore. They all rushed forward. The Yuan Long sneered disdainfully, A bunch of useless trash. Dispose your 18 generations of ancestors. Open your eyes wide and see the power of trash. Long Fei roared out. At this moment, the space within his primordial spirit turned into a bloody mess. Buzz! Buzz! Streaks of red light flashed and enveloped the entire primordial spirit space. Long Fei gave a heavy shout. Devour for me! Whoosh, 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 asterisk the strong power surged, and all of them entered the Yuan Long's primordial spirit to crazily devour. just like billions of ants. Yuan Long's primordial spirit suddenly trembled. His voice changed as he shouted, "Brat, what are you trying to do?" Long Fei laughed. "I don't want to do anything. I just want you to die. Devour." Within these 11 months, the devouring vein had risen from the original 3rd level to the 7th, reaching the realm where it could swallow the primordial spirit. The most crucial point, Yuan Long's primordial spirit had to enter his primordial spirit space in order to survive. This created a natural condition for the devouring vein. Isn't this courting death? How dare you act so arrogantly in my territory? Long Fei naturally would not let him go. The strength of the Yuan Long's primordial spirit was rapidly weakening, and the enormous illusory figure was also quickly shrinking. He began to tremble. He tried his best to resist, but it was completely useless because this was Long Fei's primordial spirit space. There was simply no way to resist Long Fei's devouring power. Long Fei grinned. "Aren't you arrogant? Come, give Lousy another one to be arrogant." Yuan Long's primordial spirit said in fear, "Long Fei, you can't be like this. I am Yuan Long. I am a supreme race of the dragon race. You can't be like this." Long Fei said, "Beg me, kneel down and beg me." Yuan Long's primordial spirit said angrily, "I am of the Yuan Long race. You want to kneel down? Long Fei, you have guts." Long Fei laughed. "You are right. I am brave. Do I kneel or not? I'll give you a second to think it over. Kneel or not?" Yuan Long's primordial spirit practically did not think about it. With a plop, he kneeled on the ground and said, "I beg you, please spare my life." "Ha ha, ha ha." Long Fei laughed complacently. It was his personality. Just a moment ago, Yuan Long's primordial spirit was incomparably arrogant and proud of himself. But now, it was his turn. He did not hold back in the slightest. He was extremely arrogant as he said complacently, "Aren't you a lofty Yuan Long? Weren't they the leaders of the dragon race? Didn't you say that you've been planning for more than 6 million years? You have to be cocky. Stop being cocky for Lousy. Aren't you going to kill us all? Didn't you say we're a bunch of trash?" Long Fei said while laughing maniacally. The Yuan Long's primordial spirit said, "Long Fei, what I have said is all just a joke. Now that I have knelt down to you, you should take back your devouring power, right?" "Are you kidding?" The corner of Long Fei's mouth curled up and said, "I'm really sorry. I was just joking just now." "You're kneeling. You have to die too." Long Fei's expression became sinister. He leapt forward and whispered into Yuan Long's primordial spirit's ear, "You're a boss. If you don't die, how am I going to kill you?" Die. Chapter 11:02 Yuan Long Explosion. Death to those who block me. Chapter 11:02 Yuan Long Explosion. Death to those who block me. As soon as he finished, the devouring vein's power surged crazily. Right, the primordial spirit was torn apart. It was swallowed piece by piece. "Long Fei, you will regret this. You aren't even a member of the dragon race. You can't withstand the tribulation at all. You will all regret it. Dragon race will perish in his hands. Long Fei, just you wait. It won't be long before you die too." Yuan Long's primordial spirit was struggling madly. Next, the HP above his head was rapidly decreasing until it finally reached the bottom. The Yuan Long's primordial spirit had completely disappeared. Long Fei fell to the ground, his face pale white, cold sweat pouring out of his forehead like rain. He panted heavily, swallowed a huge mouthful of saliva, and said excitedly, "Yuan Long, explode for me." The system sounded out, causing Long Fei and the idea to move. "Release your striking energy value." Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Yuan Long's primordial spirit for obtaining 3.9 billion experience, 3 million power of celestial points, and 1 energy values. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Yuan Long's claws. Do you wish to fuse them? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Zhuge's Sword Fragment 2. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining power of Yuan Long. Do you wish to fuse it? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Spirit of the Yuan Long. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Might. Do you wish to cultivate it? Congratulations, player. The sound of the system beep was deafening as it exploded into a complete mess. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining a special reward for killing Yuan Long's primordial spirit. Ding! Dragon Salyer has been upgraded to the highest level. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Currently at the 9th level of the Flying Immortal stage. Buzz! Long Fei's body became incomparably feverish, and he felt a power that seemed to soar into the sky. This kind of feeling was very hot, as if it could break through the sky at any time. Is this the power of a 9th level Flying Immortal? Above the 9th grade is the activation of heavenly tribulation. It is to temper the primordial spirit, the body, to obtain the permission to break through the laws of the gods' martial continent and enter another time and space. This feeling was very strange. It was also very satisfying. At this time, all the dragon ancestral saints who had yet to make their choice kneeled down together on one knee, as they said in a heavy voice, "We pay our respects to Dragon Lord." From this moment onwards, Long Fei was their leader. He is the king of Dragon Domain. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "Now, have you made your choice? Since you've made your choice, then be obedient. Whatever I ask you to do, you will do it. If anyone dares to disobey, that is..." Haha. The moment Long Fei moved, Dragon Salyer at the great complete realm descended, revealing the power to exterminate the dragon soul while acting arrogantly and unrestrainedly. These dragon ancestors had to show them some power. If not, Long Fei really wouldn't be able to suppress them. Green Dragon Ancestor said, "Boss, there's no time. Quickly enter the Dragon Palace." At this moment, Long Fei was already standing outside the Dragon Palace. Dragon Hall. Long Fei raised his head to take a look, and his heart became excited. This was the most magnificent building he had ever seen in the world. He laughed excitedly and said, "Entering the Dragon Palace." It was also at this time. Swish, 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 whoosh, 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 asterisk one after another, businesses began to close. Guton Tian stood at the entrance of the Dragon Palace, looked at Long Fei with a smiling face, and said, "Long Fei, you really did not disappoint me. You are even stronger than your father, who is pitiful enough to sign the contract with the god of death. It's none of your business now. The mantis stalks the cicada and the oriole, and he, the old oriole, appears at the most crucial moment. The purpose was for this moment. 10,000 steps. If it was him, he would have been able to pass, but he had to pay more lifespan as the price. He no longer had any lifespan left to consume. He could only allow Long Fei to finish his journey. Long Fei frowned and said solemnly, "Gu Tong Tian." It was also at this time. Long Fei's heart sank as he shouted, "What did you do to my father and my 8 brothers?" That was the only thing he was worried about. Gu Tong Tian said with a slight smile, "Nothing much, just letting them know that the only outcome that will stop me will be death." Ha ha! Long Fei's eyes moved, and the killing thought in his mind started to become berserk. Killing intent rose in his heart. As the killing intent diffused, Long Fei was on the verge of going berserk. Jojo grabbed onto Long Fei's hand, and a surge of power gushed out from her hand, straight into Long Fei's mind, and she said faintly, "Young master." Guton Tian looked at Jojo with a glint in his eyes and thought to himself, "What a pure soul, a perfect sacrifice." It's not the slightest bit inferior to Long Zhanting's wife. Long Fei's killing intent suddenly calmed down. The power of a phoenix. This was Jojo's power. Guton Tian laughed and said, "Brat, don't worry. I will send you to see your father soon, huh? But not now. Now." He turned around and looked at the incomparably huge dragon palace with excitement. 100 years. This old man has finally waited, huh? Guton Tian was extremely excited. And then, Gu Tongtian shouted and said, "Without my order, no one is allowed to enter the Dragon Palace. Block them. After today, all of you will have unlimited lifespan." Finished. Gu Tongtian stepped into the Dragon Palace, and his figure disappeared. "I'm the first one to enter the Dragon Palace." Gu Tongtian's arrogant laughter sounded out in the air. Long Fei was furious. Boom! Like a super tank, he rushed forward, with one hand holding the dragon salyer and the other holding the Pangu axe. His eyes were gloomy as he stared at the flying fairy stronger man in front of him and said, "Those who block me die." He was enraged. It wasn't because Gu Tongtian was the first one to enter the Dragon Palace. It was because he had killed his father and his brother. He didn't need any of the secret treasures in the Dragon Hall. However, Gu Tongtian's life, he must. The aura on his body began to burn. It formed a strong pressure and rushed out. What a powerful aura. Has his cultivation reached the 9th level of the flying immortal stage? This kid, what should we do? We all know how strong Gu Shiyu is to stop him. Right now, we have no other choice but to believe in him. Stop him. While they were talking, all of the flying fairy stronger man took out 120,000 points of strength and rushed towards Long Fei. Boom, boom. They were the peak powerhouse S, a total of 80 flying fairy stronger man S. But, Chua, one of the flying fairy stronger man S fell to the ground. Instant kill. With a sweep of the axe, one of the flying fairy stronger man fell. Instant kill. A furious Long Fei was unstoppable. No matter who. Those who block me die. Chapter 1103. Flipping all. Chapter 1103. Flipping all, don't let him rush over. Stop him. Stop him. Heaven commanded loudly. Seeing Long Fei getting closer and closer, cold sweat seeped out his forehead. Long Fei had already created a shadow in his heart. Boom. Another flying fairy stronger man was sent flying. 80 flying fairy stronger man S were completely unable to stop Long Fei's footsteps. He was currently like a machine that could frantically reap resources, and no one could stop him. The flying fairy stronger man camp quickly retreated. At this moment, Heaven suddenly thought of Long Fei's weakness and immediately shouted, "Attack the Long army and kill everyone around him." Long Fei, let's see how strong you are. Do you want your life, or your woman, or the lives of your loved ones? Ha ha! As soon as Heaven finished his sentence, a dozen or so flying fairy stronger man S suddenly flew towards the Long army. You like to fuck my family, right? Both of Long Fei's eyes were filled with rage. His body suddenly rushed forward, and his entire person seemed to have flashed as he instantly dashed to Heaven's side and grabbed onto Heaven's neck and said sinisterly, "You like to touch my family that much, right? You guys like to touch my people that much, right? Huh?" His voice was deafening. Bam! Heaven's neck was broken, and there wasn't any reaction time in front of Long Fei. Long Fei kicked Heaven's head away. Then, Long Fei turned his body, closed his eyes, and angrily shouted, "Power of Yuan Long! Divine power! All of you die!" Suddenly, the divinity technique that was just released from the Yuan Long's primordial spirit. When a strong power was released, the power of celestial in Long Fei's body crazily decreased as if it was leaking water. Buzz! A giant hand that was even bigger than the giant hand of the Bemin, shrouding the sky and covering the sun. It directly covered all the flying fairy stronger man, powerful divine, might pour down one after another. Long Fei moved his body and roared, "Explode for me! Rumble, rumble, rumble!" The entire world trembled because of this. In the depths of Dragon Domain Valley, there were cracks and cracks constantly appearing, and the entire Dragon Hall was trembling with haste. The bodies of the flying fairy stronger man S turned into fine powder one after another. In front of the divine might, they had no power to resist at all. The 80 flying fairy stronger man S were all flipped over. Ding, ding, ding. The system beep frantically sounded as its experience points crazily rose. Long Fei did not care about what these powerhouse S revealed. He only wanted one. Gu Tongtian's life. At this moment, Long Fei rushed toward the dragon palace and roared loudly, Gu Tongtian, give me your life. Then, Long Fei rushed into the dragon palace and disappeared. Long Sanfeng trembled and immediately said, everyone is not allowed to enter the dragon palace. He was very clear in his heart that they were Long Fei's weakness. If Gu Tongtian held him hostage, it would be a fatal blow to Long Fei, so he could not go in. Everyone knew that. If he could become a little stronger, then he could share a bit of the burden Long Fei had suffered from this. Within the dragon palace, in the chaos world, nothing could be seen. In a special fog, as though he was in another secret world. Gu Tongtian, get the hell out here. Long Fei roared. The sound expanded millions of kilometers, all the way to the end, as though it could not be reached at all. It was also at this time. Ha. Long Fei, you're late. Ha! A sound of wild laughter rang out, and a colorful light neared from far away. In the blink of an eye, it landed on top of Long Fei's head, and a divine cauldron appeared in his hands. The energy released by the divine tripod was very special. Long Fei had never felt it before. It was a power that did not even belong to the gods' martial continent. Green Dragon Ancestor's expression changed greatly as he said, Boss, this is the Sky God Dragon Cauldron. It's the upper holy artifact that the divinity has brought out of the divinity. We can't let him take it. Boss, this is one of the 3 great holy artifacts of our divinity's dragon tribe. We absolutely cannot let him snatch it away. 14 Dragon Ancestor was extremely excited. Celestial Dragon Cauldron, the Dragon Clan treasure of the divinity. This was a treasure that had been guarded by the dragon race for hundreds of millions of years. Long Fei did not care about those bullsh *T god cauldrons. He just wanted Gu Tongtian's life. He took a step forward. The sky-burning dragon gun in his hand moved, transforming into a sky full of flaming spears. Die. Gu Tongtian sneered and said, with just you. The colorful light on his body moved, and a strong force came crushing down like a mountain crushing down. Boom! Get down! Crack! A stream of power crushed onto his shoulders, but Long Fei was actually unable to resist, and heavily smashed into the ground. The ground cracked, and Long Fei howled out in a deep voice. Boom! He rushed forward once again. Gu Tongtian laughed coldly in disdain, and said, Long Fei, you've already lost. Dragon Domain doesn't have any heavenly mystery. There aren't any countless treasures either. He only has one thing, and that is this thing. As long as I get hold of him, I can obtain limitless longevity. Long Fei, you are just a chess piece that I can use. Ha! When Gu Tongtian saw Long Fei rushing over and crushing down another colorful light, he said, you better just obediently lie on the ground, pitiful insect. How does it feel to always be used? Ha ha! Gu Tongtian laughed wildly. Long Fei was crushed to the ground and rushed up once again. Boom! And then he was crushed down again. The strength in his body was not a match for the colorful light's power at all. Even if he released the power of primal chaos, he was not a match for it. Who was his opponent? 8 King Kong was killed by this power. Long Fei spat out a mouthful of blood and said, I will kill you. I will kill you. His eyes were bloodshot. The killing thought occupied every inch of his mind, and he only had one thought in mind, and it was also the command that the killing thought gave him. Kill, kill, kill. Level 10. Buzz. Super Scion. Boom. Long Fei released all of his power, all of it being at his strongest, and rushed up once again. He did not have the slightest bit of defense, as he used all his power for attack. I'm going to kill you. Gu Tongtian had never been so happy when he saw Long Fei's berserk look. The more Long Fei went berserk, the happier he got and said, Do you know what you look like now? Like a stray dog on the street. Ha! Long Fei, you don't even have the qualifications to be killed by me. Boom! Another colorful light heavily crushed down once again, and once again smashed Long Fei to the ground. Long Fei's mind kept on calming down, but he was still unable to calm down, and crazily tried to think of a way to kill Guton Tian. But he did not even know what that colorful light was. How could he fight? Chapter 11:04 Death God Descends in Long Fei's Body. Chapter 11:04 Death God Descends in Long Fei's Body. Long Fei rushed forward again. Boom! Guton Tian once again knocked him down to the ground and said with a cold smile, "Your father was struck down by me. He was pitiable enough to sign an agreement with the god of death and sell his soul to him. Pitiful, lowly, living like a dog. And your mother? Haha, I really have to thank her for what she gave me, the most wonderful thing in the world." Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Long Fei roared out, "Guton Tian, I will control 18 generations of your ancestors." I can't listen. He really did not want to continue listening. From a moment he knew that his father had been persecuted by Guton Tian and Supreme God, he had already vaguely guessed that his mother might have been harmed by Guton Tian. Long Fei roared hysterically. He was unconscious. The demonic nature of Path of Death crazily grew, and his entire body was on the verge of going berserk. If he did not control it now, he would become a demon controlled by the Path of Death, a demon that could kill without any awareness. This feeling was too unbearable. No matter how hard Long Fei fought, his strength was still not a match for the 7-color divine light on Guton Tian's body. He really couldn't find a way. He really couldn't find it. That's what drove him crazy. His father's death, 8 King Kong's death, and what Guton Tian had said about his mother all caused Long Fei to completely lose control and go berserk. He couldn't control it. The more excited Guton Tian was, the more he laughed heartily. Your father was just like you right now back then. This must have felt really good, right? Ha! I don't know if you're feeling good or not, but I'm feeling very good anyways. Ha ha ha! Guton Tian laughed. He could already see that Long Fei was about to be crippled. He was in no hurry to kill Long Fei. Outside the Dragon Palace, the space between Yunner's brows tightened and said, "Grandpa Long, Big Brother Long Fei is in danger. Please let me in. Grandfather Long, Big Brother Long Fei is in too much pain. Just let me in." Yinner cried. He did not want the only family Long Fei had in this world to be gone too. Ling Long looked at Long Sanfeng and said, "Grandpa Long, let us go." Jojo also pulled Long Sanfeng's arm and said, "Grandfather, let us go in." The 3 Luluashi sisters also looked at Long Sanfeng. She could clearly feel the pain that Long Fei's heart was in, and if it was her, his mind would have instantly collapsed. Dragon Mountain grit his teeth and roared, "Long family disciples, listen up. Charge! You touch my grandson, your elder is going to drag you to hell even if I have to risk my life." Long Sanfeng rushed out. Jojo and the others followed closely behind, and the Long family disciples rushed into the Dragon Palace like floodwaters. Guton Tian laughed coldly and said, "Long Fei, do you see? Your Long army, your women and brothers are like a group of ants. They're about to charge in. Do you think I should kill them? Or just kill them? Just like when you push your father into the abyss, if you saw that scene, you would definitely be shocked. Now, seeing the people around you die one by one, it must be a wonderful feeling." Guton Tian looked down from above like a god. All the blood vessels in Long Fei's body had been crushed and were dripping with blood. He roared loudly, "Don't come in, don't come in, don't come in." They could not hear Long Fei's voice at all. In the end, he still rushed in recklessly. Guton Tian's face carried a playful cold smile and said, "It seems like they didn't hear your voice. Long Fei, they're here. They're here. Do you want them to watch you die? Or do you want them to watch you die one by one? Wow. Just thinking about it makes me so excited." Long Fei said solemnly, "Guton Tian, kill me now if you have the guts. Kill me now." Guton Tian laughed. "Kill you? That's not fun at all. I want to slowly torture you and let you taste the pain of your loved ones dying one by one." Before he could finish, Long Sanfeng and the others had already arrived. Seeing Long Fei's whole body covered in blood, Long Sanfeng shouted, "Xiao Fei!" Damn it! Long Sanfeng burst out in vulgarities. His roar was like thunder. He leapt forward and said, This old man will fight it out with you. Boom! Not waiting for him to get close. As a surge of energy poured down, Long Sanfeng's body was heavily slammed into the ground, falling into a pool of blood as he remained motionless. Grandfather! Long Fei trembled, his eyes sticking out. He was completely dumbfounded. As he watched his grandfather get killed, he could do nothing about it. Long Fei roared out, "Azure Dragon, Black Dragon, aren't you the dragon ancestor? Didn't you guys return to the dragon domain? Then why don't you kill this Gu Tong Tian for me?" Endless rage. Green Dragon Ancestor became silent. Sea Dragon King said slightly, "Boss, we need to enter the Dragon Soul Pool before we can return to our strength." He, Long Fei laughed bitterly. Dragon Clan? Dragon Ancestor? Ha ha! He was really disappointed. Gu Tong Tian looked at Long Fei as he laughed wildly helplessly and said, "Long Fei, how does it feel to see grandfather get killed? Isn't this too good to be true?" Long Zhanhai took a step forward. Rumble. A loud sound echoed out. Long Zhanhai's body dropped and smashed onto the ground. It didn't move at all. Death. Uncle. Long Fei's voice was hoarse and his body was trembling as he said, "Go, quickly leave this place. You guys hurry up and leave." Long Fei cried. His heart was about to break. If this carried on, he really wouldn't be able to control himself. At this moment, the more than 8,000 Long Army did not retreat. They all rushed forward and roared loudly. The sounds of killing shook the skies, but they did not retreat or flee just because Gu Tong Tian was strong enough to not budge at all. No one fled, because they were the disciples of the Long family. From the moment the people of Long family were born, they knew that the people of Long family never retreated, and even more so, never fled. Gu Tong Tian laughed out wildly. "You bunch of trash who don't know your limits, go to hell." An enormous wave of power came crashing down. More than 8,000 Long Army were all crushed as their minds were shattered, and they fell into a pool of blood. There was no way to block it. Seeing Long Army fall one by one, his voice was hoarse. At this moment, his mind moved, his eyes closed slightly, and he said, "Come, bring it on." At this moment, an illusory image appeared in his mind. Shadow of the God of Death. It was exactly the same as the one in Long Zhanting's death space. The God of Death laughed sinisterly. "Long Fei, are you sure? Once you sign the death contract, you can't turn back." Long Fei didn't have any other choice. Chapter 1105. Myriad Dragons Enter the Body. Chapter 1105. Myriad dragons enter the body, the same death god, the same desperate situation. The scene was almost exactly the same as Long Zhanting, except the place was slightly different. Long Zhanting's was the abyss. Long Fei was from the Dragon Palace. Strangely, why did the death god choose the people from the Long family, or the father and son pair? Long Fei did not think about this. Regardless of the price, he could only think of killing Gu Tong Tian right now. Even if he died, Long Fei would not hesitate. No, big brother Long Fei, don't agree to it, don't. Yin'er could sense the aura of death that appeared in Long Fei's mind. As long as she sensed that aura, she would not forget it. This death god was the same death god who signed the death god contract with Long Zhanting. What is he trying to do? What does Long Fei want to do? The girls were extremely worried. Yin'er cried, "Big brother Long Fei wants to sign a contract with the death god. He wants to sell his soul to the death god. This cannot happen. If it's like this, big brother Long Fei will never be able to recover." Jojo trembled and said, "Young master, you can't be like this." All the girls started shouting. Gu Tong Tian looked at Long Fei with interest and said, "It's the death god's contract again. Looks like you two really resemble each other. Your father only signed a contract with the death god when I entered into the abyss back then." Gu Tong Tian was still very pleased with himself. No matter who Long Fei signed a contract with, he was not afraid, because the power in his body was invincible. It was invincible in the gods' martial continent. Long Fei clenched both his fists and heavily shouted, "I." At this moment, The instant that Long Fei agreed, a strange scene happened. A ball of light floated out from Long Sanfeng's corpse. It was the light of the immortal soul. A dragon's roar resounded in the air. Finally, with a flash in the air, the fluorescent light rushed into the depths of the Dragon Palace. At the same time, over 8,000 Long Army corpses all shone with a fluorescent light as they followed Long Sanfeng's primordial spirit light into the depths of the Dragon Palace. Buzz, Green Dragon Ancestor, could not control himself and rushed out of the Green Dragon Tripod S, followed the light of the immortal soul stage into the depths of the Dragon Palace. Black Dragon Ancestor also rushed out. Sea Dragon King rushed out, followed by 8 golden dragons rushing out, followed by 1 dragon ancestor after another that escaped Long Fei's control, rushing towards the depths of the Dragon Palace. Long Fei was stunned. The god of death became anxious and asked, "Long Fei, have you made your choice yet? As long as you agree, I can immediately help you kill him. This is the only way you can kill Gu Tongtian." Long Fei said slightly, "What are you so anxious about?" Deep within the Dragon Palace, a ray of light suddenly exploded as tens of thousands of dragons roared, causing the entire dragon domain to tremble. At this time, a voice resounded in Gu Tongtian's mind. Then his expression changed as he coldly looked at Long Fei and sneered, "Brat, today is your lucky day." Then, Gu Tongtian's figure flashed, carrying the Sky God Dragon Cauldron with him, and in the blink of an eye, he disappeared into the horizon. Long Fei wanted to chase after him. However, the light from the depths of the Dragon Hall had attracted him, and he also wanted to know why his grandfather's primordial spirit had entered the depths of the Dragon Hall. Long family, what exactly is the secret behind the dragon race? The voice of the god of death sounded once again. "Long Fei, Gu Tongtian has already escaped. If you don't make your decision soon, you won't be able to kill him. Your father, your mother, your grandfather, and your Long family were all killed by him alone. If you were a man, you should have taken revenge 10 or even 100 times more. I can make it happen. I can make it happen." There was a hint of anxiety in his voice. Long Fei muttered, "Death God, what are you so anxious about?" The more the Death God acted this way, the calmer Long Fei's heart became. He did not understand what Death was so anxious about. Or could it be? Was he afraid of the light in the depths of the Dragon Palace? Gu Tongtian must have escaped because he was afraid of the light coming from the depths of the Dragon Palace. Who is it? Boom! Long Fei took a step forward as he wanted to understand this point clearly. Moreover, there was a strand of energy in Long Fei's mind that was guiding him, telling him to go over. "Don't go over there." The god of death roared and said, "Long Fei, you can only take revenge if you listen to me. In all of God's martial continent, only I have the strength to help you kill Gu Tongtian. Hand over your soul." Death was getting more and more anxious. Long Fei raised the center of his brows and suddenly shouted, "Death God, you have to be more clear that this is my territory." Boom! With a thought, Death Space closed his eyes. Long Fei's figure flashed like lightning and landed on the light. Buzz! A hum resonated in his mind as a strong power seemed to be controlling his mind. Long Fei stepped into the strong light. Boom! A loud sound echoed out. The system beeped out a prompt. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 100,000 experience, 10,000 experience points for entering the Dragon Soul Pool, 10,000 points for the power of Celestial, and 10,000 points for obtaining a special reward. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for completing the SSS level quest to find the Dragon Domain. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the reward. The reward is myriad dragons entering the body. The system beep descended. A gigantic dragon rose into the air from the Dragon's Soul Pool, flew into the air, and then charged down heavily towards Long Fei's head. Crack! It was like a bolt of lightning had struck down. Long Fei's body sank, and his power began to surge. It was an incomparably strong power that Long Fei had never experienced before. Boom! Another dragon soared into the sky. A heavy blow came down. His strength increased yet again. Boom! Another gigantic Long Fei rose. Every time the giant dragon's power entered Long Fei's body, Long Fei's mind expanded a little, and within his mind, a few images of some divinity appeared. The reason the gods' martial continent dragon bloodline escaped was not because of some great calamity. It was because they had obtained something. It was a destructive item. It was because of this that the dragon race had been annihilated. The dragon clan split into 18 branches to escape the divinity. None of them knew whether the item they brought out from the dragon clan was the heaven-defying spirit treasure or not. All they knew was that they would have to protect them forever. The treasure that Gu Tongtian obtained is that heaven-defying spirit treasure? No. The Heavenly Dragon Cauldron is only one of the 3 great holy artifacts of the dragon race, and not the spiritual treasure that would cause the divinity to tremble. Long Fei stopped to think of all these. Rumble, rumble. The 1,000 dragons entered his body. Long Fei's power was only SOSO, abnormal strong. A full day later, 5,000 dragons entered his body. Another day passed. 10,000 huge dragons entered Long Fei's body. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for completing the assimilation of 10,000 dragons into his body. His strength had never been stronger. At this moment, a dragon coffin in the depths of the draconic soul pool that was thirsty flashed with a 7-colored light. This is the light of the main artifact. Chapter 1106, Recasting a Juga Sword. Chapter 1106, Recasting a Juga Sword, the light of the main artifact. Every single ray of 7-colored light radiated an endless amount of power. This was also Long Fei. He had it with the system. Only then did he discover the strange 7-colored light on the dragon coffin through the system. At least, even a peak flying immortal like Gu Tongtian did not notice. Otherwise, he would not have just thrown away the celestial dragon cauldron. Long Fei was secretly shocked. So it is that divine object. If I did not use the system to check, I would definitely not have discovered it. From this, we can conclude that the entire dragon race does not know that the secret treasure they brought from the divinity is the main artifact that their ancestors obtained. The main artifact, my God. Long Fei could not help but become excited. The super divine object that came from the divinity was so powerful that it was unimaginable. Even the Yuan Long did not know of its existence. They had always been protecting something that they believed to be the dragon clan's heavenly divine dragon cauldron. And then, Long Fei carefully walked forward, gently exhaled, and watched the dragon coffin gently place one hand on it. It felt cold, and then he could not feel any energy fluctuations, nor the overbearing and powerful aura of the main artifact. It was completely like an ordinary stone coffin. Buzz! Long Fei kept the idea and kept it inside the space ring, then immediately checked its attributes. Item: Dragon Coffin Rank. Main Artifact Attack. Defense. Passive. Description 1. Gathering all 5 domain treasures of the gods' martial continent can trigger the power of Dragon Coffin Level 1. Description 2. Except for a brief explanation in Description 1. All the rest were question marks. However, Long Fei almost drooled when he saw the 3 words on the dragon coffin's rank. Main artifact. Main artifact. Ha ha! It really is a main artifact level divine object. It was difficult even for holy artifact S. This time, it was the main artifact. Then isn't he an invincible existence in the gods' martial continent? How do I use this thing? All 5 domain treasures. Long Fei muttered. Nantian Region's Dragon Salyer. Immortal Domain's Juga Sword. Dark Domain's Hell Wheel. Savage Domain's Teleportation Gate. Dragon Domain's Burning Heaven. If I have these 5 domain treasures on me, how do I use them? Long Fei was a little confused. Looking at the dragon coffin, Long Fei suddenly realized. Could it be that all 5 domain treasures were placed inside the dragon coffin? That must be it. After discovering its usage, Long Fei became excited again. Gu Tong Tian, if I don't smash you into pieces this time, I will change my surname to yours. And then, Long Fei took a step forward. Big brother Long Fei. Young master. The girls immediately came over to welcome him. Seeing Long Fei's calm expression, they were slightly relieved. Lu Luoxi asked, Long Fei, how are you? He had jumped into the Dragon Soul Pool and stayed there for 2 days and 2 nights. They were incomparably worried, but they did not dare to disturb Long Fei. It was good to have someone to worry about. Long Fei said lightly, I'm fine. Right, I'm going out for a while. Stay here and don't leave. Also, take care of their bodies for me. They're not dead yet. Long Fei said lightly. After 10,000 dragons entered his body, all of this energy was actually stored in Long Fei's body for a short period of time. Of course, Long Fei could also let these powers belong to him forever. But if that was the case, Long Sanfeng, Long Zhanhai, and the more than 8,000 disciples of the Long family, the Green Dragon ancestor and the rest would never be able to live. With 10,000 dragons in his body, Long Fei truly knew the meaning of Long family is a dragon. Actually, this was the grand scheme of the Yuan Long. It was a situation that lasted for more than 6 million years. Long family was the reincarnation of the dragon race. Every disciple of the Long family had a primordial spirit of the dragon clan within them. When these primordial spirit were entering the dragon palace, they would be attracted by the dragon soul pool. Originally, they could have completely jumped into the dragon soul pool and evolved, but before they could jump in, they were all killed by Gu Tong Tian. With this, they could only enter the dragon soul pool in the form of a primordial spirit. The Long family had once lost more than 500 powerhouses in one night because they had opened up their dragon domain at that time and endured the tribulation that occurred once every 33 million years in the dragon domain. However, that time he failed. With Long Wuxian in the lead, over 500 Long family all fell. It was just an attempt. It had also allowed the Yuan Long to avoid a calamity and have caused his primordial spirit to linger for more than 6 million years, to be reborn in Long Fei's body. But he never would have thought that the current Long Fei was a transcender and a madman that would never back down, that took away everything he owned. Finally, it was replaced. This was the secret between the dragon race and Long family. The Long family was the dragon race, and the dragon race was the Long family. It was just that. The Long family was a dragon that gave up their dragon domain. They appeared as humans on top of the gods' martial continent, lying in wait for the great sages who could turn the situation around to appear. Is Long Fei almighty sage? He didn't even know it. Anyway, he was sure of one thing. He was him, not some dragon race. When everyone heard him say that Long Sanfeng and the rest were not dead yet, their faces all shook, all of them became happy and said, Long Fei, Long Fei said, Don't worry, I have a way to bring them back to life, but now is not the time. Wait for me here. Long Fei looked at each and every one of them and said with a gentle smile, I will definitely return. Finished. Long Fei moved, turning into a ball of light and disappearing into the sky above the dragon domain. Long Fei did not rush to immortal domain. Instead, he found a hidden place and tried to recreate the Zhuge sword. It was a domain treasure of the immortal domain, and only by recreating it could the 5 domain treasures be considered as truly being gathered. After this incident, Long Fei clearly knew that he couldn't afford to lose. If he lost another time, he would never be able to recover from it. However, not this time. He was not alone now. There are many people behind him. We can't let these people get into danger. Walala, walala. The fire burned crazily. Long Fei dropped a dozen or so immortal crystals and activated the power of Celestial. The immortal crystals burned, and the flames burned crazily. Long Fei moved and threw a piece of the Zhuge sword S. The Zhuge sword was recast in another place, at the peak of the sky soul cliff. Gu Tong Tian, who was summoned, looked like a devout follower as he quietly knelt on the ground and waited. God's soul mountain, the first summit of God's martial continent. It was also the place closest to the sky in God's martial continent. Rumble. With a loud sound, a huge face appeared in the air. Gu Tongtian's eyes were startled. He immediately kowtowed and prostrated on the ground and said, "Welcome, master." And then his hands took out the sky god dragon cauldron and said, "My lord, this is the thing that secret treasure of Long Clan is looking for." The space between the eyebrows of that huge face twitched as an idea entered the celestial dragon cauldron. Half a second, the celestial dragon cauldron exploded. Chapter 1107, Another Sacrifice. Chapter 1107, Another Sacrifice, Celestial Dragon Cauldron. The holy artifact of the divinity, one of the three divine objects of the Dragon Clan. He possessed the power of a super strong divinity. He could be said to be an invincible existence in the gods' martial continent, and even if he was placed in there, he would be a very good treasure. However, in less than half a second, he was blown away by the idea. How strong was this? To be able to destroy the divinity's divine object, he was extremely strong, indescribably powerful. The mysterious giant face was enraged as he shouted, "Trash! Rumble!" Gu Tongtian was immediately smashed into the ground. The ground started to crack, and the entire god's soul mountain was cracked. His face was pressed up against the ground. The stone was pushed into his flesh, and blood started to drip out. Gu Tongtian said with difficulty, "Sir, this is the divine object from the dragon's soul pool. It is this item. I really do not have any secrets." He didn't dare to hide it. Forget about the divinity's divine object. He wouldn't even be able to hide anything even if he got his hands on the main artifact. Life was more important than anything else. The mysterious giant face frowned. 18 dragon clans. This is the last bloodline. It's impossible for it to not be here. Absolutely impossible. That item must be in the gods' martial continent. Back then, escaping from God's martial continent was the weakest of the dragon race, which was why it was ignored by everyone. Now that I think about it, that thing must be here. There must be something else in the dragon's soul pool, the mysterious giant shouted. Gu Tongtian replied, "Really, there's nothing. It's just this dragon cauldron. There's nothing in the entire dragon's soul pool except." The mysterious giant face shook and asked, "Except what?" Gu Tongtian said, "Other than the coffin with the dragon cauldron, that coffin is nothing. It is just an ordinary stone coffin without any energy fluctuations or any aura. It is definitely not something you want to find." Boom! The mysterious giant face's eyes flashed with a bright light and became extremely excited, saying, "This is it, this is it, this is it. Ha ha ha, I finally found it. I finally found him. And then, bring me that sarcophagus." The mysterious giant face shouted. As soon as he finished, "Not in the dragon palace." The mysterious giant face's face suddenly darkened. He was taken away? That kid, he wanted to say something, but the expression on his face darkened again, and he said softly, "Could it be that you found out that it was a main artifact? So what if you find out? You don't even know how to use it, nor do you know how strong its power is. Ha! And in just a few days, your dragon race will face a calamity. Can you survive that?" Gu Tongtian carefully asked, "Master, then what should I do now?" The mysterious giant sneered and said, "You don't need to do anything. Wait for me." Wait. Gu Tongtian was a little confused. The mysterious giant face said, "In a few more days, the calamity will descend upon the dragon race. No one will be able to resist the sky law, and when it comes to the sky law, I'm so stupid. Only those who steal something from heaven will be punished by the heavens. I should have long thought that the item was in the gods' martial continent." Following that, he continued, "Long Fei will definitely stand up for the Dragon Clan. When the time comes, you can just bring me the corpse." He was very interested in Long Fei. To be able to stand at the peak of a plane for a mere 30 years of age, what was needed was not only talent and hard work. Long Fei might have other powerful things on his body. Gu Tongtian immediately replied, "This subordinate understands. Lord, my longevity. The enormous, illusory face glared at him. Gu Tong Tian immediately knelt on the ground and didn't dare to say half a word more. Buzz. A ray of light enveloped him, and Gu Tong Tian's energy immediately became abundant. This was the characteristic of having her life force replenished, and she was extremely excited as she immediately said, "Thank you, Master. Thank you, Master. In addition, my lord, I've discovered another woman with a purer soul." The mysterious man looked startled and said, "Could it be that this little god's martial continent has someone purer than the soul you worshipped last time?" Gu Tong Tian said, "Yes, this woman is one of Long Fei's women. He possesses the phoenix blood vein, is born with a sacred body, and his soul is pure and devoid of any impurities." "Master, do you want me to capture her for you?" The first time he saw Jojo, he already knew that Jojo's soul was incomparably pure and holy. It was even purer than Long Fei's soul back then. It contained an incomparably powerful energy. The mysterious man said slightly, "Let me handle Long Fei first. We could talk about other things later." Gu Tong Tian immediately replied, "This subordinate understands." The void illusionary idea moved and said lightly, "You are not allowed to fail this mission. This will give you a stronger power. Remember, you must succeed." Buzz. A wave of energy enveloped Gu Tong Tian's entire body. After Gu Tong Tian sensed a little bit more, he felt a kind of incomparable power surging in his body. He was extremely excited and said, "Thank you, Master." At this moment, the sky returned to normal and the shadow disappeared. Gu Tong Tian slowly crawled up from the ground, patted off the dust on his body, and finally sneered coldly, "Long Fei, this time you're dead for sure. Ha ha. After I take care of you, even if I can't break into the void and enter a higher plane, I can still enjoy the limitless longevity and become the Lord God of God's martial continent, huh?" Gu Tong Tian laughed out crazily. He was just one step away from his dream of limitless longevity. That was Long Fei's life. In a deep valley. No way, no way. It still won't work. I don't have enough strength, so I'm unable to combine the power of the Zhuge sword. Long Fei battered him between the brows tightly. For a whole 10 days, he continued to reforge Zhuge sword S. It was not easy to reforge a Zhuge sword. He wanted the energy within the Zhuge sword to be linked together once again. This meant that he needed a strong power. A few attempts were unsuccessful. Long Fei heaved a heavy sigh and said faintly, "Let's try out the dragon's force." Boom! The fire was ignited. Long Fei moved his idea, and its leader started to move. A dragon's roar resounded in the sky. Roar! Long Fei's body was trembling. The dragon's force was far too strong, almost to the point of being uncontrollable. Rumble! The gigantic hammer in Long Fei's hands heavily smashed down, and energy surged into the Zhuge sword fragments. The powerful energy crushed everything in its path, and he shouted loudly, "Let me succeed." Boom! Boom! The gigantic hammer was like a torrential storm, crazily hammering the Zhuge sword. The power within the Zhuge sword converged bit by bit, fusing together, forming a strong resonance of power. Half an hour later. Ding! Chapter 1108. Unaccompanied Fight. Chapter 1108. Unaccompanied Fight. A system notification rang out. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for successfully forging it, obtaining a special reward. The refining techniques has been raised to the great perfection stage. It's a success. Long Fei looked at the Zhuge sword that was recreated. The light was dim like flowing water. Its power was not revealed. Its connotation was sharp, and it contained a wild and untamed power inside. Huff! Long Fei let out a heavy breath and said, "I've finally succeeded." At this time, Long Fei took out the Hell Wheel. The idea moved, and a wave of energy rushed into the Hell Wheel. Boom! Who was using Seal in the Hell Wheel was released. The moment Song Chanchian came out, he threw himself in a Long Fei's embrace and immediately began to cry, saying, "I don't want to be like that. Long Fei, I really don't want to be like that." He tried his best to defend in the Hell's Wheel, not wanting to trap Li Yuanba and the others. However, she couldn't control herself at all. Long Fei said indifferently, it's okay, everything is over now." Song Chanchian said, "Long Fei, let's not go and take revenge. The rainbow color divine power on Gu Tongtian's body is too powerful. No one in the gods' martial continent is his match. Moreover, there must be an outer space powerhouse behind him. Long Fei, let's find a place to hide. I promise you everything. I'll bear your children, give birth to many, many, many children. Can we not go?" She was really worried. She was very clear that no one could withstand the power that erupted from Gu Tongtian's body. Long Fei looked at her tearful eyes and felt his heart ache, saying, "Don't worry, I won't lose anymore. Thousand, listen to me. Go to the dragon domain and wait for me there. Tell them that I will definitely return and that I will definitely not lose again." This time, Long Fei would not allow himself to lose again. If he lost again, he wouldn't forgive himself. He would bet everything. Even if he had to die, he would drag Gu Tongtian and the powerhouse behind him into hell. Be good, Long Fei faintly said. Even though Song Chanchian didn't want to, she knew in her heart that no one could persuade Long Fei when he decided on something, and gently nodded. "Long Fei, you must be careful. There are so many people waiting for you." Long Fei replied, "I know. This battle was for revenge. For himself, and for his women, and for his brothers, and for his family." Song Chanchian rode on the full moon wheel and left. Long Fei opened the system to check all of the skills and attributes, which were all piled up with experience elixir and black boxes. He had never opened any of these. Not forgotten. Instead, it would open when one wanted to enter the Chaos Realm. Now, Long Fei moved and said, "Giant demon, come out." Boom! The gravity troll walked out from the 18th floor of hell and said, "Boss." Long Fei took out all of the black boxes from the space ring and said, "Put these boxes on top of the sky patrol ship." The gravity troll was startled and said, "Boss, aren't these worries of yours the result of your painstaking efforts? Why didn't you open it?" These black boxes definitely belong to the gods' martial continent. They might be the holy artifact S, but no matter what, they were not as good as the Chaos Realms boxes. This was the limitation of the laws of the plane. Even if it was a holy artifact of the gods' martial continent S, they might not be worth even a single cent in the Chaos Realm. Wanted to compete with Long Fei. He felt that the Yin Huang ancestor needed these more. Yin Huang ancestor must have needed a large amount of energy to rebuild his body in the deity's lake. Long Fei replied, "Just do it." Also, boom, boom, boom. The Earth Demon, Lei Mo, and the other 4 dragon demons all came out. Long Fei said, "From today onwards, you are free to go wherever you want, but there is one thing you can't follow me. Gravity Troll, you too. After you give the thing away, you'll be free." Lei Mo stared blankly for a moment, then said, "Boss, are you trying to dismiss us?" "More or less." Long Fei laughed. "You are demons. I should not restrict you." The Earth Devil said, "It's not like you've restricted us. Boss, we don't want to leave, so just let us follow along." The Gravity Troll said, "Earth Demon, Lei Mo, don't you know what boss means?" "We can't burden the boss," he said. "Boss, we will go to Dragon Domain to wait for you." Finished. The Gravity Troll forcefully pulled the Earth Demon back, and Lei Mo and a few other dragon demons left. Looking at the 3 cards in the system, Nox, who was at the 9th level of the Holy Ranked. Galen, who was at the 9th level of the Holy Ranked. There was also the Barbarian King that Long Fei had not used. He had no way of releasing these 3, as the system had determined. However, they were characters in the game, so even if he died, they would still be fine. Thinking about this, Long Fei relaxed. Then, Long Fei landed on top of the Thunder Dragon Pearl and said, "Feier." Feier had followed him for almost 10 years. In these 10 years, Long Fei felt that he was in debt because he didn't find the fairy clan nor her home for Feyre. The task might fail. Long Fei said, Feyre, I'm sorry. Feyre's tears flickered as she said, Master, please don't be like this. As long as you don't let me go, I'm willing to do anything you want me to. I can warm your bed. She was really afraid that Long Fei would let her leave. God's martial continent was so big, she really didn't know where she should go. She was homeless. Long Fei said, All right, then follow me, it's just that. I didn't help you find the elven tribe so that you wouldn't be able to return home. Feyre shook her head. Master, you're my home and you are my tribe. Suddenly, the system sounded out. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for completing the quest. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining. Surprise. The mission was completed all of a sudden. Long Fei had thought that the mission would end in failure, but he did not expect Feyre to complete the mission with just a few words. However, Long Fei did not care about the reward anymore. He wanted to throw everything away. He wanted to fight with all his strength without any worries. Task completed. Long Fei looked at Feyre and said, You go to Dragon Domain and wait for me there as well. Once I've settled everything, I'll go find you too. Feyre obediently nodded and said, Master, you must come and fetch me. Long Fei smiled and said, Don't worry, I will definitely do so. How could Long Fei bear to have so many beauties? Even if it was a dream, Long Fei would still do it in a domineering manner. A little bit more brothers and a little more beautiful women. Everything was done. Long Fei looked up to the sky and clenched his fists tightly. His eyes turned sinister as he said solemnly, Gu Tong Tian, your father is here. Boom! He turned into a ball of light and rushed towards the immortal domain. Chapter 1109, Crushing Gu Tong Tian. Chapter 1109, Crushing Gu Tong Tian. Come on, little beauty. God Emperor Academy. After transforming into a wine pond, Gu Tong Tian, who had received his longevity, was crazily enjoying it. He was fearless now. There was no one in the entire God's martial continent that could shake him. He was just waiting for the Dragon Clan's calamity to befall. Then he could just hand Long Fei's corpse over to the Lord. Everything felt so good. In Gu Tongtian's arms were two unclothed absolute beauties. The beautiful girl had a charming face as she said coquettishly, Master, will Long Fei really die? The Luen family is so scared. The God Emperor city is in such a state. If only he comes back. Humph! He dares to come? Gu Tongtian's eyes became angry, and she said, If he dares to come, then he is courting death. Don't worry. As long as I am here, no one will dare to touch you too. Gu Tongtian played with a woman who said that the older you get, the more boring it becomes. Why do I feel like I have endless power? In this world, you should be happy in time, huh? Gu Tongtian frantically moved. He now had his lifespan to use as he pleased, so he did not have to worry about anything at all. His grandson died? Then just make another grandson. As long as there was life in this world, anything was possible. Suddenly, a thunderclap sounded in the sky above God Emperor City. Boom! Gu Tongtian, get the hell out here. A loud sound echoed out. The entire immortal domain was trembling, and the inside of the God Emperor City was in chaos. Every single one of them were incomparably afraid of Long Fei, and upon hearing Long Fei's voice, they all started to tremble. The two women under Gu Tongtian shrunk back and trembled slightly. Master, it's Long Fei, it's Long Fei. Gu Tongtian's eyes opened wide. Looking at them, he saw the look of fear on their faces, and they both threw out two palm strikes. Boom, boom. Instantly, it transformed into fine powder. Gu Tongtian gave a cold snort and said, I just said, as long as I'm here, you don't have to be afraid. That scared me? Seems like it's time for people to know how powerful I, Gu Tongtian, am. I want to make all living beings on God's martial continent fear me and respect me as if I'm a god. Get dressed. Gu Tongtian slowly walked out of the room and looked at Long Fei, who was in the air. The corners of his mouth curled up as he laughed coldly. "You're courting death." Chua. He exerted his strength and flew up into the air. A powerful aura burst out and disdainfully said, "You dog, I'm not going to look for you. But you're going to look for me first? What? Are you here to throw away your life? Do you want me to send you to hell with your grandfather?" Ha ha. Arrogant laughter. The current Gu Tong Tian did not even put Long Fei in his eyes. The power he possessed now was earth-shattering. What a mere Long Fei count for? Long Fei glared at the raging roar in his heart. In that instant, Long Fei's body moved, and waves after waves of muffled thunder rumbled in the air, as his figure turned into a long afterimage, as if millions of Long Fei's had charged out. Gu Tong Tian floated in mid-air as he sneered disdainfully. "Long Fei, you're too slow. How can trash like you fight against me? Since you came here to throw away your life, then I'll grant you your wish." Boom! The rainbow-colored energy on his body exploded outwards, and in the sky, it was completely filled with the power of Gu Tongtian's explosion, crazily rushing towards Xiang Longfei's tens of thousands of figures. Longfei's eyes turned sinister and shouted in his heart, "Dragon's force, open for me!" Rumble, roar, roar, roar. Long Fei did not hold back the slightest bit of all the power that a dragon had entered his body and released all of it. At this moment, Long Fei was not alone. They had 10,000 dragons behind them. All dragons were the power to return to the dragon. All of their energies were gathered on Long Fei's body. In this instant, it was as if Long Fei controlled the power of heaven and earth. Facing Gu Tongtian's colorful light power, his fists moved. "Break for me." Boom! The punch landed. The colorful light's power released a crack. Gu Tongtian's gaze tightened, and his mind trembled as he said, "Impossible." Another wave of energy, which was even denser than the previous ones, struck his body and shouted, "Long Fei, just die." Long Fei punched out again. Rumble. Walala. This punch completely shattered the colorful light's power. The entire sky was filled with dragon's force. It was incomparably powerful. The 10,000 dragons roared, twisting. The sky above God Emperor City was covered. At this moment, Long Fei was the ruler. Gu Tongtian's face paled and said, "Impossible, impossible. My strength is invincible. You can't be my opponent, Long Fei. You can't." Gu Tongtian roared. The colorful light's power from his entire body formed a gigantic shockwave. He released all of his power. Long Fei stared intently at Gu Tongtian with his gloomy eyes and said, "I'll let you know what is called impossible." Myriad dragon wave. Penetrating body. As Long Fei roared, 10,000 gigantic dragon silhouettes exploded outwards in the air, crazily smashing into the colorful light shock wave that Gu Tongtian released. Walala! Walala! At this moment, the colorful light's shock wave had been destroyed, completely unable to stop Long Fei's dragon's force. You know, when the dragon ancestor returned to his position, all of the energy that he released was the mighty power of the divinity. No matter how strong Gu Tongtian's strength was, he would not be a match for the dragon's force. Boom! The 10,000 dragons roared, as they all passed through Gu Tongtian's mind. Gu Tongtian's entire being seemed to be about to go crazy, as he wailed crazily like ghosts and wolves. "Ah! No, no, no! Long Fei, I beg of you, please don't kill me. Long Fei, please kill me. I beg you, please kill me. Please let me die." This sort of pain was even worse than reincarnation in hell. He would rather die than suffer such pain. Long Fei's face turned dark, and he said, "Die. It's not that easy." Most of these huge dragons were Long family's disciples. These people were all killed by Gu Tongtian, so naturally they had to pierce into his body one by one. Moreover, the eruption of the dragon's force had instantly crushed Gu Tongtian. This surprised Long Fei, and, at the same time, he was exceptionally shocked because the dragon's force was too strong. In that case, then Long Fei's motive would be a little bigger. It was not Gu Tong Tian, but the outer space powerhouse behind him. Long Fei wanted to know who exactly was doing this to him. Who wants to obtain the main artifact? And what is this main artifact? It was definitely not as simple as a coffin. 10,000 dragons piercing the body. Gu Tongtian felt as if he had died 10,000 times. His face was pale white, his body was curled up, and he was shivering. Long Fei stood in front of him and said with a cold smile, Gu Tongtian, now, can you tell me who the outer space powerhouse behind you is? Chapter 11:10 Opening of the Main Artifact. Chapter 11:10 Opening of the main artifact. Gu Tongtian was only a chess piece. The powerhouse behind him was the one who truly wanted to kill Long family. Who was he? Divinity? Chaos realm? Or was it a higher realm powerhouse? Long Fei didn't know. However, to be able to keep an eye on the main artifact, this kind of person must not be simple. Since it was not simple, it must be a super strong boss. It could possibly be the strongest boss in God's martial continent. So if it was a boss, how could he let go? Sky Soul Cliff, the peak. This was the second time Long Fei had visited this place. The first time was to look for a God Soul herb, and at that time he was unconscious, and his experiences were extremely blurry. That person was his father, Long Zhanting. Now that he appeared again, his heart ached, because his father had already been dragged into hell by death for his sake. Huff! Long Fei exhaled, looked at Gu Tongtian, and said, Let's begin. Gu Tongtian was battered and exhausted when he heard Long Fei's voice. He trembled in fear, afraid that Long Fei would attack him again with a myriad dragon feathers, which was something he was truly afraid of. However, he was even more afraid of death. Gu Tongtian looked at the sky and said solemnly, Brat, once that powerhouse appears, it will be your end. Ha ha! And then, Gu Tongtian entered the space and shouted loudly, Master! The sound exploded in the air. There was no response from the sky. Immediately, Long Fei kicked him and bellowed. There's no reaction? Gu Tongtian fell to the ground with a kick from Long Fei. 2 of his front teeth had been knocked off. His mouth was full of blood as he said bitterly, Don't be anxious. You have to wait a while before you appear. As he spoke, Long Fei kicked him again and said, Then why didn't you say so earlier? Pa! Gu Tongtian lied on the ground once again, his entire face covered in dirt, and he looked extremely miserable. Long Fei shouted, Shout a few more times for me. Gu Tongtian became ruthless and cursed in his heart. Long Fei, you dog, you dare to be arrogant when you're about to die. Just you wait, I'll have you meet the king of hell soon. I will turn all your women into my playthings. Just you wait. Gu Tongtian's voice once again transmitted into the void. Master. Right now, he wished that powerhouse would appear so that he could personally witness Long Fei getting tortured to death. Pa! Another kick. Why haven't you come out yet? Gu Tongtian laid on the ground, crying as he said, I don't know either. In the past, he would come out after I shouted twice. This time, I don't know either. You don't know? Long Fei's eyes became angry, and he said, If you don't know, why aren't you shouting for me? Papa! It mercilessly kicked, not giving Gu Tongtian the chance to catch his breath. To his father. Kill his grandfather. And even offered up her mother to the outer space powerhouse. Long Fei didn't forget these grudges for a single moment. Gu Tongtian was completely crushed by Long Fei. The hatred in his heart roiled and churned. Long Fei, don't be complacent. It's going to be your funeral soon. Call me again. Just say that I'm here. As soon as Long Fei finished his sentence, rumble, a huge explosion sounded out from above the 9th heaven. Next, in the direction of the Nantian region, millions of kilometers away from him, a gigantic whirlpool of clouds appeared, revolving layer by layer as golden lights glimmered in the clouds. Natural phenomenon. What is this? Long Fei's face sank as he suddenly thought of something. Tribulation. A tribulation that occurred only once every 33,000 years. Long Fei's mind trembled, His expression changed greatly as he muttered, "The place where calamity descends is the dragon domain, then." Giggle. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly, and his joints cracked. Guton Tian did not know about all this. But this time, the peak of God Soul Mountain was also rolling out thick clouds, and a huge, illusory face appeared. Guton Tian's eyes flashed and said excitedly, "It's here, it's here. My lord, I brought Long Fei here. Quickly kill him, quickly kill him." Guton Tian laughed complacently with a face full of contempt. He stared at Long Fei and said, "You dog, your time of death is up, huh?" He was a completely different person. Guton Tian was extremely cocky. It is true that the powerhouse behind Guton Tian is important, but his family was more important. Immediately, Long Fei didn't even think twice as he turned and transformed into a ball of light, rushing towards the Nantian region. No matter what this calamity was, he had to protect the dragon domain. Boom! His body was blocked by a strong force, and he bounced Long Fei back in an instant. Uff! Long Fei spat out a mouthful of blood. Guton Tian was all smiles as he pointed at Long Fei's nose and laughed. "You dog, is it good? Ha ha ha! You still dare to run around in front of me. Does my lord agree?" It was also at this time that enormous, illusory face hovered there in midair, then said softly, "The draconic tribulation has begun. Long Fei, you can't go back. Now hand that thing over." The giant face was filled with excitement. After waiting for millions of years, he finally got this moment. Guton Tian immediately shouted, "Long Fei, did you hear my lord speak to you? I told you to hand it over." "You're so noisy." Shua. Long Fei moved. He rushed forward and used his hand as a blade and chopped down. Guton Tian's eyes flickered as he shouted, "Master, save me, save me," not waiting for him to finish. His head had already flown up. With a move of Long Fei's idea, the 10,000 dragons roared and directly crushed Guton Tian's primordial spirit. With a move of his footsteps, his right leg fiercely kicked towards Guton Tian's head. Shua! The head flew to the gigantic face in the sky. The gigantic face did not have any reaction. He did not have any intention to save Guton Tian at all. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Guton Tian for obtaining 2.9 billion experience, 3 million power of celestial points, and 10 energy values. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining. The system sounded out a few times. Long Fei did not care about the attack at all, and instead focused his eyes on the damage the head could cause to his giant face. Ms. It could be said that there wasn't even a trace of damage because there wasn't even the slightest bit of damage caused when the sword went through. Dragon's force. Boom, boom, boom. One after another, huge dragons roared from Long Fei's back. And with a single step he rushed forward, saying solemnly, "Who the hell do you think you are? Wanting something from this daddy?" The mysterious giant face laughed and said, "Dragon's force. Humph, so weak." Before he could finish, a force pressed down from the giant face, as if the sky had fallen. Boom! Long Fei's entire person was crushed. The dragon's force was instantly shattered. The entire body of the god's soul mountain had ruptured, and the first front of the immortal domain had been destroyed. The giant face sneered, "Such power isn't even an ant in our world. Long Fei, submit to your fate and obediently hand over that thing." The dragon's force was instantly crushed. This phantom was unimaginably strong. There was only one way to kill him. Long Fei moved his body and summoned his dragon coffin. "You want to? Then let me show you the power of a main artifact." Chapter 1111. Target locked. Chapter 1111. Target locked. "You want it? Come and take it." Long Fei moved and took out the dragon coffin. Tell the truth, Long Fei also did not know how to use it, but this main artifact did not have any instructions, nor did it have any description. Or was it a defensive type? Long Fei didn't know. However, all he knew was that this was his only backup plan. The enormous, illusory face looked at the dragon coffin that Long Fei had taken out, and after sensing it for a bit, its entire body became excited. Such powerful strength. Ha! The main artifact's aura. He's mine now. The clouds in the sky violently surged, turning dark. The enormous, illusory face became especially irritable and excited, as if the dragon coffin had gained the entire world. At the same time, as if influenced by the appearance of the dragon coffin, the calamity above Nantian region began to move faster and was about to descend. Above the 9 heavens, thunder raged. Layer by layer, the entire God's martial continent could feel the impact of this immense power. Compared to the 2 previous waves of power, this time, it was much more ferocious, more powerful than the last 2 times combined. Ha ha ha! Long Fei, your dragon domain is about to be destroyed. If you hand over the thing now, maybe you will have time to see your family. The mysterious giant face said with a smile. To him, Long Fei was just a piece of meat on the chopping block. He wouldn't be able to escape. Long Fei frowned. He was still checking the dragon coffin system description. The 5 domain treasures can be activated. How do I start it? Was it really put in the coffin? The mysterious giant sneered. You think you can activate the main artifact? Do you know how to use it? Do you know what a main artifact is? Hand it over obediently, brat. Main artifact are not people that you can afford to play with. The main artifact. If you didn't know how to use it, then it wouldn't be as useful as a coffin. F***CK. I won't allow anyone to be arrogant in front of me. You like it, don't you? That I don't understand main artifact S, right? Then this daddy will let you know what a main artifact is. Long Fei cursed angrily in his heart. You're risking it all. The dragon coffin opened. Long Fei flipped his right hand, and the Hellswolf flew into the coffin. Buzz. In that instant, a roar came out from the coffin like a terrifying steel monster. The enormous, illusory face was stunned. He could clearly feel that the dragon coffin's power had increased by a bit, but it did not show any signs of exploding. He loudly mocked. Do you think that the main artifact is a pig? You need to be fed? Ha! I'm going to die from laughter. Low-level trash are just trash. They actually use things to feed the main artifact. I'm going to ***king die from laughter. Long Fei held a ball of fire in his hand as he looked at the gigantic, illusory face mocking him. It was also at this time. Ding! The first layer of main artifact energy is complete. Long Fei was startled. Hearing the corner of the system Beep's mouth hooked up, he laughed coldly and said, Laugh? Let's see how long you can laugh for. Boom! The second domain treasure, the savage domain teleportation door. Buzz! The dragon coffin's strength increased another level. Ding! Main artifact energy filled. Second level complete. The mysterious giant face was still laughing and said, Brat, you are F***king funny. You are definitely here to make fun of me. Main artifact S, don't play like this. Boom! The third domain treasure, immortal domain Zhuge's sword. Buzz! The dragon coffin slightly shook, its strength increasing by another level. Ding! Main artifact energy filled, third layer complete. And after the third system beep sound, he discovered that there were traces of changes on it. A true dragon's mark faintly appeared on the dragon coffin that originally had nothing at all. The true dragon occupied the entire dragon coffin, as if it was alive. The giant face's expression changed slightly. At this time, he stopped laughing and thought to himself, True dragon? What exactly is this main artifact? He didn't know. He only knew that it was a main artifact. What use was it? He didn't understand either. But he definitely wasn't feeding with food. Seeing the appearance of the real dragon, his expression became abnormal. Boom! Fourth item, Nantian Region Dragon Salure. Ding! The main artifact energy is filling up. The fourth layer is complete. The true dragon rolled around, moving on the dragon coffin, becoming exceptionally sinister. The last one. Long Fei took out the sky-burning dragon gun. The idea moved and said lightly, Fentian, I don't know what will happen if I completely lose you, but Fention laughed out loud. Boss, if you say these words, then it's foreign. Don't worry, Fention, will never die. You can rest assured. What were the consequences? Long Fei did not know, and neither did Fention. After all, they had never met a main artifact before. But Long Fei didn't have a choice. Long Fei shouted loudly, "Go!" Boom! Fifth item, Dragon Domain, Sky-Burning Dragon Gun. Buzz! A powerful ray of light burst out from the dragon coffin. It was a strange rainbow-colored light that overshadowed all the other powers in the gods' martial continent, as though it was the blazing sun hanging high in the sky. Ding! The main artifact energy is filling up. The 5th floor is complete. Ding! The main gun's energy has been filled up. Do you want to release it now? Ding! Player, please choose your target. The system beep continuously sounded. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly, and his heart trembled. Main gun? The dragon coffin is a main gun? Lock on. Long Fei's idea moved and directly locked onto the target as the huge, illusory face. Ding! Target locked, release. At this moment, both of his faces were still stupefied. His eyes did not dare to move as he looked at Long Fei and said slightly, "Impossible! You can't possibly know the usage of main artifact. It's absolutely impossible. If even I don't know, how would you know? Kid, who exactly are you? Kid, what are you hiding?" Under the muzzle of the gun, the enormous, illusory face's voice began to tremble. It was as if the scythe of death was resting on his neck. A gentle slash could drag him into hell. He was afraid. Long Fei laughed and said, "Don't you like to laugh? Smile for your father again. Didn't you say that your father doesn't understand main artifact? You are King smiling at Lousy." Long Fei roared, with a sinister look in his eyes. The mysterious giant said with a sinister look in his eyes, "Brat, don't be too arrogant. Even if you activate the main artifact, what can you do? Do you know how to make it release Sovereign's power? Even if you do, this is only one of my idea. I can evolve 1,000 or 10,000 idea. When the time comes, I don't believe that I won't be able to kill you." Just as he finished, Long Fei moved his idea and roared, "Then come and kill me now." Boom! The dragon coffin moved, and the main gun shot out. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.